పోయిందా అది చెప్పాలి దాని ముందు చేయరా అంటే కానీ మళ్ళీ చేస్తారు ఉందా డైరెక్ట్లీ పెట్టేసి
ఆస్ట్రేలియా తోటి 36 రన్లకి 9 మంది అవుట్. ఇంతవరకు ఇంత తక్కువ ఇండియా వాళ్ళు ఎప్పుడు చేయలేదట. 9 మంది 36కి అవుట్ రా. స్కూల్ పిల్లలు కూడా చేయరు అట్లా. స్కూల్ పిల్లలు కాదు ఇప్పుడు మన హ్యాపీ మెర్రీ ఇక్కడ ఆడినప్పుడు కూడా అంత తక్కువ రన్ చేయరు.
Dr. Prakash, how are you?
Namaste, sir.
Namaste. Prakash, karo.
సార్ నన్నా
ले Prakash garu.
అచ్చా అచ్చా
I'm very much here. I'm Prakash Kammardi.
Yeah, sir. How are you?
Very fine. How are you?
I'm okay.
Nice to see you through ultra modern means, not live. Someone was making the joke.
Okay.
Looking, pehla jinda dekhna, looking alive. He used to say jinda dekhna, alive. So it's all virtual. Mr. Reddy, how are you?
Yeah, fine. Jinda dekhna
Virtually.
So you're on the office?
No, I'm no longer. I'm a retired person. I was in the university, Agriculture University, and I headed a commission called Karnataka Agricultural Praises Commission.
Yes, I know. I thought you were still there.
Mr. Swami is here.
Yes. How do I do this?
Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to everybody.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody, comrades. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon.
స్టార్ట్ చేసి
Swami,
Yes, sir. I'm here.
how do you do?
యాడ్ చేద్దాం
Fine. How are you, sir? So nice to see you.
Good afternoon, Swamiji.
Good afternoon. Namaste, Anup ji.
Good afternoon, brother Anup ji.
Hello, brother Dhanashekhar.
Yeah. Good afternoon. How are you, brother?
I am fine. How are you?
Yeah. Thank you. I'm also fine, brother.
అందరికి ఆల్రెడీ
Ram Kumar is there. Ram Kumar.
Yes, Ram.
Ram. Good afternoon, Ram.
Good afternoon.
Namaste, ji. Okay. And the note.
చేసినది పంపించిన అందరికి
This is agricultural workers.
పంపించిన
Dina ఎవరు సైలెంట్ పెట్టుకోండి. Dina ఎవరు సైలెంట్ పెట్టండి.
ఏం చేసినావు
Dina ఎవరు
వీడియో బంద్ వీడియో బంద్ 3 డాట్స్ వస్తాయి ఒత్తితే హైడ్ నాన్ వీడియో పార్టిసిపెంట్స్
Hello.
Dina సైలెంట్ పెట్టండి. సైలెంట్ పెట్టండి.
Silent, sir.
ఇప్పుడు 3 డాట్స్ వస్తాయి కెమెరా
సైలెంట్ పెట్టుకోండి.
పోతుంది మళ్ళీ వ్యూకి వెళ్ళి వీడియో కాన్ఫరెన్స్
माइक म्यूट चाहिए देना
మైక్ మ్యూట్ కర్నా అందరూ మ్యూట్ చేసుకోండి. అమ్మ చంద్రమ్మన మీరు కూడా సైలెంట్ చేయండి, మ్యూట్ చేయండి. ఓకే, ఈయన ఎవరు వాళ్ళు చేయలేదు ఇంకా.
Swamiji, Chennaiah ji is not joined.
Yeah, sir, he may not join.
Yeah, please tell.
His
Asura.
father is seriously ill.
Huh?
His father is seriously ill, I think.
Okay.
So I requested Ram Kumar ji, one of the organizing secretaries of National Center for Labour, to preside, because he has the largest agriculture workers unions spread over to different parts of UP and neighboring states. Okay?
Yeah, good. So we'll start, sir.
No, we'll wait for a little more time. I think 5 minutes. Let people join.
Okay, who is hosting? Who is controlling?
From our side, from Bangalore, we are
ఇమేజ్
hosting and controlling.
దాంట్లో చేయొచ్చు యాడ్
Put chair, put.
I don't know if the presentation, Prakash has a presentation. I don't know, but at least I have. So when I present, I think.
You don't need to worry. Last time also we did. Don't worry.
Okay.
We can do it.
Yeah, mine is just oral presentation. I don't have.
Yeah, that's okay. That's fine, Dr. Prakash. Yeah. Shall we start? It's 3. What's time? 3 o'clock. 3:09. Can wait for another 5 minutes, or we'll start right now.
I think we should start. Yeah,
Right,
let
Andy?
people join.
Okay, fine. So, on behalf of the National Center for Labour, NCL, I would like to welcome to this webinar on farm laws and its implications on the agricultural workforce. Where in the recent past 6 months, let's say that India is witnessing 2 major events. One was during this lockdown. We have seen the lakhs and lakhs of migrant workers who have walked hundreds and thousands of kilometers, died, suffered with hunger in the hot sun. What all the medias called that as a biggest humanitarian crisis in Indian history. And second most, what we are seeing, what we are experiencing, what we are reading, is this farmers' protest. That's an historical struggle. People say globally it never happened. Lakhs and lakhs of farmers from Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan are struggling for repeal of 3 laws, which was introduced by the Government of India or Modi government, by name Farmers, Produce, Trade and Commerce Promotion of Facilitation Act 2020, Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Services Act 2020, and Essential Commodities Amendment Act 2020. So the protesting farmers demand that these 3 laws should be repealed completely. They are not agreeing for amendment. So this is being one side. We are witnessing the historical struggles. After people go to the extent of saying that after the independent Indian struggles, this is the biggest struggle we are witnessing. So this being the reality, as National Center for Labour, an exclusive body of unorganized labor in India, and one of the affiliates, the agricultural unions, workers' unions, is the in membership. They contribute a lot of large in the membership in the for the NCL. So, as a workers' national confederation, we were interested to look at the whole dynamics from the workers' point of view. How does this? We all know that farmers are affected. They're struggling all over the country. Not only the northern states of Punjab, Haryana, and Rajasthan, joined by UP farmers and things like that, but all over the country, people are sitting in dharnas. They are in the hunger fast from Kanyakumari to Kashmir. So, as workers, as agricultural labor, they are entirely dependent on these farmers. In fact, marginal and small farmers become the workers in the lean seasons. So we are, as NCL, we are interested to know how does this laws introduced by the government of India affects directly on the workforce, agriculture workforce. As everybody knows, there are more than 226 million agriculture workers are in India. So it's not just a couple of millions of workers, couple of lakhs of workers. It is more than 26, 22 crores, around 23 crores workers are involved, and they are definitely affected. And we would like to see through this webinar how it's going to have an impact on the workforce, agricultural workforce. So for this, we have invited Dr. Dr. Kammardi, who was teaching in the agricultural university in Bangalore, and he was the former chairman of Karnataka Agricultural Prices Commission, Government of Karnataka, and he was also, as I said, he was a professor of agricultural economics. Not only he taught the economics, agriculture economics, but he's also a man coming from the rural background, and he is in the forefront of farmer struggles in the state of Karnataka. So he brings considerable amount of experience, not only from the grassroots, also from the farmer struggle point of view, and he'll be addressing our webinar on the topic center state farm laws and its implications on agricultural labor. And second speaker, we have amongst us Dr. Narasimha Reddy, Donti. Narasimha Reddy is part of NCL, and he has also addressed first agriculture workers webinar of NCL. And Dr. Narasimha Reddy is an independent consultant and a policy researcher, but he is not only he represents academia, but also is a grassroots man working with the agricultural unions directly and with the farmers directly, and all his studies and research based on the grassroots movements. So we have two experienced people who not only share their views from the theoretical point of view, but also from the their own experience in involving at the grassroots. And we have amongst us, we have Mr. Anup Srivatsava of Frederick Ebert Stiftung is the labor advisor, and he's been closely associated with the National Center for Labor as well in many trade unions in India. So he'll be giving us introductory remarks, and he brings enormous amount of experience with him, and he will share his views as introductory note. And for this webinar, we requested Comrade Chennaiah, who is the president of National Center for Labor, but also he is the national convener for National Agriculture Workers Forum, promoted by NCL. But unfortunately, he is not able to come because due to his father's illness. And NCL has requested Comrade Ram Kumar from UP, who is the General Secretary of Uttar Pradesh Kedgar Mazdoor Union, and he is one of the organizing secretary of National Center for Labor. So he also his union membership spread many districts of UP, and also he is works with the Dalit. And as you know that majority of the workforce in agriculture are Dalits and women. So Ram Kumar also works with Dalit laborers, and that network spread over more than 14 states in India. So we have Ram Kumar, who will bring in a lot of grassroots experience of workers, agriculture workers basically, and Dalit agriculture labor. And I requested him to chair this session, and he has accepted. I'm very thankful for him and asking him to chair this at the last moment. And he'll be chairing this in Hindi. So this webinar will be, participant will be coming from North also. My request to the speakers is also if they can mix up a bit of Hindi, I'll be thankful to them. And once again, I am thankful and I welcome the speakers and the chairperson for this webinar. Thank you very much. Now I hand over to Comrade Ram Kumar. Ram Kumar ji.
जी
Yeah, please.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद स्वामी जी। आपने सुबह मुझसे कहा था, मैंने वही बात कही थी कि मेरा हिंदी में ही बोल सकता हूँ, अंग्रेजी में मेरे लिए बोलना मुश्किल काम है। तो आपने बोला था नहीं, हिंदी में ही पूरा बोलिए, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है। तो मैंने कहा हिंदी में बोलना है तो समस्या नहीं है, अंग्रेजी में बोलने के लिए हमारे सामने दिक्कत है, क्योंकि ऑलरेडी हम लोग हिंदी बेल्ट में काम करते हैं और हमारी बेसिक एजुकेशन गांव की एजुकेशन है, इसलिए अंग्रेजी में हमारा उतना वो नहीं है। तो स्वामी जी ने जैसे अपने उसमें बात कही कि इस समय पूरे देश का मौजूदा पूरा किसान दिल्ली के चारों तरफ घेरे हुए रास्ते पर में बैठा हुआ है और इतने भयंकर ठंड के अंदर, लेकिन इस देश की सरकार का पूरा उसके ऊपर कान के ऊपर कोई किसी प्रकार का जू तक नहीं रेंग रही है, बल्कि उल्टा ही वो सरकार किसानों के खिलाफ एक कैंपेन स्टार्ट कर दिया है कि ये किसान जो बात कर रहे हैं ये किसी पार्टी विशेष के किसान हैं या एंटी नेशन देश विरोधी शक्तियां हैं, ताकतें हैं। वो लोग बैठे हुए हजारों लाखों की तादाद में, उनको वो तादाद नहीं दिख रही है कि किसी प्रकार से कोई व्यक्ति अगर सड़क पे आया हुआ है तो सरकार की जिम्मेदारी है उसके साथ वार्ता करना और बातचीत करना। इस जिम्मेदारी और दायित्व को भूल करके वो पार्टी विशेष की, ये फला पार्टी के हैं, इस पार्टी के हैं, किसी पार्टी के भी हों तो आपकी जिम्मेदारी है उनके साथ बातचीत करना, लेकिन वो ये ना करके उनके खिलाफ काउंटर कैंपेन शुरू किया है। तो इसी बात को अगर हम इस तरह स्टार्ट करें कि पी साईनाथ एक बात कहा करते हैं लगातार कि ये सिर्फ किसानी की समस्या नहीं है, ये समस्या सांस्कृतिक समस्या भी है। ये एक मतलब जो है केवल एग्रीकल्चर प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, ये कल्चरल प्रॉब्लम भी है कि किस तरीके से जो लोग सत्ता में बैठे हुए हैं वो लोग और जो गांव के अंदर रहते हैं लोग, उनके बीच एक किसी प्रकार का एक कल्चरल जो एक अंडरस्टैंडिंग और यूनिटी होनी चाहिए उस तरीके का है ही नहीं, क्योंकि इनकी जो कल्चरल सोच और कल्चरल समझ वो बिल्कुल डिफरेंट जगह पर खड़ी हुई है और उनकी दूसरी जगह पर है। जब ये हम सब लोग मानते हैं, पूरे देश के लोग मानते हैं, सरकार भी मानती है कि 70 से 80% लोग हमारे गांव के अंदर रहते हैं, तो अगर 70 से 80% लोग हमारे गांव के अंदर रहते हैं, वो किसी तरीके से एग्रीकल्चर से अपनी ज़िंदगी और जीवन यापन करते हैं, तो हमें कोई भी कार्यक्रम प्रोग्राम अगर बनाना है तो उस 70% जो या 80% जो गांव के लोग रह रहे हैं, उनके डेवलपमेंट और उनके विकास और उनके इर्द गिर्द जो प्रॉब्लम समस्याएं हैं उनको देखते हुए हमें कोई उनके डेवलपमेंट का प्लान बनाना चाहिए, ना कि हमें इस तरीके का प्लान बना करके कि हम आपका भला चाहते हैं और आपके भले के लिए हमें कानून बनाए दे रहे हैं। वो कह रहे हैं कि हमें हमारा भला मत करिए, हमारा भला करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है। आप कोई भी कानून बनाएंगे तो किसी के साथ कोई कंसल्टेशन बातचीत करके बनाएंगे। हमारे देश के अंदर मेजॉरिटी किसान, कुछ ज़िले और इलाकों को छोड़ दीजिए तो मेजॉरिटी किसान 1 एकड़ 2 एकड़ मैक्सिमम 3 एकड़ के मेजॉरिटी किसान हैं, उससे ज़्यादा के बहुत कम किसान हैं। ये किसान अपनी जो खेती करते हैं उस खेती में मौजूदा समय में इतनी ज़्यादा लागत उनकी आने लग गई है कि वो जो लागत लगाते हैं खेती में, और इस बात का डर लगा रहता है कि अगर किसी तरीके से मौसम ने उनका साथ नहीं दिया तो वो खेती में जो लागत लगाई 1 एकड़ में 18-20 हज़ार रुपये की जो लागत लगाते हैं, उन्हें लगता है कि ये कहीं मतलब जो है हमारा नुकसान न हो जाए। अच्छा, लागत लगा के अगर पैदा भी किया तो बाज़ार के अंदर जब ले करके जाते हैं, बाज़ार में जिस तरीके से बिचौलिए उनके साथ पूरा जो बिचौलियों के हाथ में वो पूरा बाज़ार जिस तरीके से कंट्रोल होता है, तो बाज़ार के अंदर भी उनको मूल्य और सही तरीके से उसका उत्पादन का मूल्य उनको नहीं मिलता है। तो ऐसे में सरकार खुद मानती है कि हमारे देश के जो गांव में रहने वाले लोग हैं, वो 70% लोगों की जो आमदनी और इनकम वो 5,000 के करीब और 5,000 से कम है। ऐसी जब हम खुद मानते हैं या सरकार खुद मानती है, लोग खुद मानते हैं कि वहाँ पर लोग जो जीवन यापन कर रहे हैं वो उनकी आमदनी इतनी कम है। गांव में रह करके लोग जीवन यापन क्यों कर रहे हैं? क्योंकि कृषि पर निर्भरता के साथ साथ वो पशुपालन भी कर लेते हैं। कोई भैंस पाल लिया, बकरी पाल लिया और दूसरी चीज़ें, तो उनके जो खेती में जो चीज़ उनका जो उससे खेती और जानवर दोनों एक साथ एक दूसरे पर निर्भरता बनी हुई है। तो कुछ खेती से नुकसान हुआ तो उनका जो जानवर हैं, जानवरों के दूध बेच करके ज़रूरत पड़ने पे बकरी और वो सब जो है आवश्यकता पड़ने पे उनको सबको बेच करके अपनी ज़रूरतें पूरी कर लेते हैं। इस तरीके से वो अपने जीवन यापन का वो काम करते हैं। तो किसी तरीके से वो अपनी जीवन यापन कर रहे हैं। ऐसे में बाज़ार को आप ये कह करके कि अब बाज़ार को हम पूरी तरीके से मार्केट के हवाले कर दें। आप अगर देखें, जब से ये 3 बिल आए हैं हमारे यहाँ, इसके पहले जो गेहूं की फसल थी वो 1750 रुपये क्विंटल हमारे उत्तर प्रदेश के अंदर सरकारी रेट पे लिया गया था। 1750 रुपये क्विंटल बिक रही थी बाज़ार के अंदर। 1600-1700 रुपये क्विंटल लोग गेहूँ बेच रहे थे। लेकिन जैसे ही ये कानून आने के तुरंत बाद ऐसी क्या स्थिति उत्पन्न हो गई कि वही गेहूं जो मार्केट के टाइम वो जो पैदावार हुआ था तब महंगा जा रहा था, आज की तारीख में जब गेहूं की क्राइसिस अमूमन गांव के अंदर हो जाती थी, आज वही गेहूं 14 रुपये किलो बिक रहा है। वही गेहूं की कीमत घट गई, जबकि गेहूं की फसल भी नहीं है। मक्का की फसल हुई, मक्का की फसल 800 और 900 रुपये क्विंटल से ज़्यादा बिकी ही नहीं। पिछले साल यही मक्का 1400, 1500, 1600 रुपये क्विंटल बिकी थी। इस साल इससे ज़्यादा बिकी ही नहीं। धान 800 रुपये से लेकर के 1000 रुपये, बासमती का सरकारी रेट 2700 रुपये, सरकारी रेट 2700 रुपये, और वो 1300-1400 रुपये से ऊपर बासमती का चावल वो धान नहीं बिक रहा है। तो ये पूरा अचानक मार्केट के अंदर क्या कौन सी ऐसी शक्तियाँ आ गई कि वो नियंत्रण होने लग गया। और जो फूड कॉरपोरेशन ऑफ इंडिया वो कह रही हम खरीदारी खूब कर रहे हैं, अब खरीद कर रहे हैं, लेकिन वो खरीद के बावजूद भी वहाँ बिक्री नहीं हो रही है। और वहाँ पर जो लोग ले जा रहे हैं वहाँ से उनको वापस भेज दिया जा रहा है और वापस भेज करके वो मार्केट के अंदर उन्हें बेचना पड़ रहा है। ऐसी कौन सी बात हो गई कि अचानक मार्केट के अंदर वही जो गेहूं, वही चावल, वही मक्का हर साल उतनी पैदावार होती थी, उतनी पैदावार होने के बाद भी वो ठीक ठाक रेट पे बिक जाता था। लेकिन इस साल ऐसी कौन सी स्थिति उत्पन्न हो गई कि वो बिल्कुल मार्केट के अंदर वो कंट्रोल के बाहर हो गया। इसी तरीके से अभी मैं 2-3 दिन गांव में था। हमारे जो गांव है उस इलाके में वेजिटेबल्स का इलाका है, सब्जियां बोते हैं, गोभी, बंद गोभी, लौकी, तरोई, इस तरीके की तमाम सब्जियां जो लोग बोते हैं, उन सब्जियों को किसी भी तरीके से लोगों ने देखा कि 1 रुपए, 2 रुपए, 3 रुपए से ज़्यादा बिक ही नहीं रही है। लोगों ने गांव के अंदर उस पर जानवर चराने शुरू कर दिए हैं कि इसको काट करके बाजार ले जाना ज़्यादा कॉस्टली पड़ता है, बल्कि जानवर को चरा देना और उसको जो है खेतों में जोतना शुरू कर दिया है। यही जो बंद गोभी और गोभी, यही फसल हर साल एक अच्छे रेट पे जाती थी, एक अच्छा रेट मिलता था। अचानक मार्केट के अंदर वही 10 रुपए, 15 रुपए किलो आज भी बिक रही है, लेकिन खेत के अंदर वो 1 रुपए, 2 रुपए, 3 रुपए के ऊपर वो कोई खरीदार वहाँ पर उसका नहीं है। वो मंडी के अंदर लाता, उससे ज़्यादा उसकी कोई खरीदार नहीं है। तो ऐसी स्थिति, साथी लोग माइक ऑफ कर ले तो ज़्यादा बेहतर रहेगा, आवाज़ आ रही है। तो ऐसी सूरत में और हमारे जो ये माइक ऑफ कर ले साथी लोग, हमारे जो प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कहा कि कोरोना को अवसर में, ये साथी कुछ लोग बोल रहे हैं, इससे दिक्कत हो रही है।
Ami ji, please mute everyone.
Yeah,
Except Mr. Ram Kumar ji.
Except Ram Kumar, mute everybody. Yeah, okay, Ram Kumar, go ahead.
तो ऐसी सूरत में जब मोदी जी ने कहा कि कोरोना को अवसर समझना चाहिए, तो उस समय समझ में नहीं आया कि कोरोना को अवसर कैसे, वो क्यों कह रहे हैं। कोरोना को उन्होंने अवसर, ये जो मार्केट फोर्सेस, ये जो इस देश के कैपिटलिस्ट, उनके लिए उन्होंने बना दिया। हमारे उत्तर प्रदेश के अंदर कोरोना काल में ही उत्तर प्रदेश सरकार ने एक काम किया कि एक गवर्नमेंट ऑर्डर जारी कर दिया कि अब जो मजदूरों के जो काम के घंटे हैं वो 8 की बजाय 12 कर दिए जाएं। और उन्होंने गवर्नमेंट ऑर्डर जारी करके अब किसी भी क्षेत्र में कोई भी यूनियन काम नहीं कर सकती, यूनियन नहीं जा सकती, क्योंकि ये क्राइसिस की सिचुएशन है। क्राइसिस सिचुएशन में कोई यूनियनाइजेशन किसी प्रकार का नहीं हो सकता है, और काम के घंटे उन्होंने कर दिए। उसको हम लोगों ने हाई कोर्ट में चैलेंज किया, हाई कोर्ट गए, हाई कोर्ट में चैलेंज किया। हाई कोर्ट ने जब पूछा स्टेट गवर्नमेंट से कि आप किसके आधार पर ये आपने किया, तो हाई कोर्ट में जब कोर्ट ने जाकर के जवाब दिया तो उन्होंने उसको विड्रा कर लिया कि नहीं इसको हम विड्रा कर लेते हैं। विड्रा करने के बाद वो किया। अभी उत्तर प्रदेश गवर्नमेंट ने एक कानून और पास कर दिया कि गांव, ये जो पूरा जो है एक पानी को नियंत्रण करने का एक कानून, जिसमें उन्होंने कहा कि एग्रीकल्चर में जो एक्स्ट्रा पानी जो लोग लगाते हैं, जो लोग पानी लगाते हैं, उनको एक लिमिट तक पानी को लगाने की एक अनुमति दी जाएगी। उसके ऊपर जो लोग पानी का यूज़ और उपयोग करेंगे उसके ऊपर टैक्स लिया जाएगा। तो पानी को जो आज तक किसानी घाटे में जा रही, सब कुछ हो रहा, उसमें जो पानी को नियंत्रण करने के लिए भी उत्तर प्रदेश में कानून बना दिया, एक टैक्स के दायरे में पानी को भी ले आए हैं। तो किस किस जगह पर टैक्स लगाएंगे और कहाँ कहाँ पर टैक्स लगा करके एग्रीकल्चर को रिलीफ देने की बजाय उनको और हाशिए पर डालने की जो पूरी वो कोशिश ये गवर्नमेंट हमारी जो है कर रही है। ऐसे में ये जो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट लॉ जो कानून लाए हैं, कानून लगा, इसमें कॉन्ट्रैक्ट जो फार्मिंग की बात कही, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट फार्मिंग में भाई कोई भी विवाद होगा वो एसडीएम की अदालत में जाकर के उसके बाद आप कहीं उसको कंप्लेन नहीं कर सकते, और कहीं जाकर के एसडीएम ने जो कह दिया वही आप उसी को ही अंतिम आप समझेंगे। बिहार के अंदर अडानी ने जो वहाँ पर जो है अपने प्लांट लगाने शुरू कर दिए हैं, उन प्लांट्स में उन्होंने चारों तरफ से तार की घेराबंदी कर दिया है। और घेराबंदी करने के बाद 50 किसानों की जमीनें उस तार बाड़ के अंदर आ गई हैं। अब वहाँ पर वो कह रहे हैं कि आप या तो जो है हमको जमीन लिखा दीजिए, अगर नहीं लिखाते हैं जो आपको करना है वो करिए, आपको मरना है मरिए, और यह जमीन हमको लिखा दीजिए। किसान वहाँ के रो रहे हैं, लोग मजबूरी में कि हम जमीन नहीं देना चाहते हैं, हम जमीन अपनी नहीं करना चाहते हैं, लेकिन उसके बावजूद भी वहाँ पर गोल गोल इतनी बड़ी फेंसिंग लगा दी गई है कि उसको क्रॉस करना, जो बॉर्डर पे अक्सर लगती है वो बॉर्डर वाली फेंसिंग वहाँ पर लगा दी गई, कोई किसान उसको क्रॉस नहीं कर सकता है, जिनकी ज़मीनें वो चली गई। तो ऐसी सूरत में वहाँ पर किसान के अंदर ये डर कि कल कोई भी आकर के थोड़ी सी ज़मीन खरीद के और लंबा सा एरिया कंट्रोल करके और वो इस तरीके से करेगा तो उसका वो कहाँ जाएगा। और जहाँ तक ये एसेंशियल कमोडिटी एक्ट है, जिसमें अभी तक था कि भाई कोई प्राइवेट व्यक्ति हमारे यहाँ जमाखोरी नहीं कर सकता है, अब प्राइवेट व्यक्तियों को जमाखोरी का आप अधिकार दे देंगे, आप सरकारी नियंत्रण से उसको ख़त्म कर देंगे, आपके FCI या इन गोदामों में आपके पास अनाज नहीं रहेगा, तो अभी जो PDS सिस्टम आप चल रहा है, पूरा PDS सिस्टम आप वो कोलैप्स हो जाएगा, क्योंकि PDS सिस्टम के जरिए जो लाखों लाखों परिवारों को अभी पर अनाज मिलता है, जो लोगों के किसी तरीके से कम हफ्ते 10 दिन 15 दिन उनका राशन पानी जो उनका चल जाता है, वो पूरी तरीके से PDS सिस्टम वो पूरी तरीके से कोलैप्स हो जाएगा। क्योंकि जब आपके पास राशन ही नहीं होगा तो आप डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन क्या करेंगे, किसको क्या देंगे, किस तरीके से करेंगे। तो आने वाले दिनों में ये PDS सिस्टम के जरिए गांव के अंदर जो वर्किंग क्लास और जो मजदूर, उसका मतलब जो ये PDS सिस्टम के जरिए जो भी थोड़ा रिलीफ मिल रहा है, जो भी कोरोना काल में मोदी जी ने खूब बांट करके जिसकी वाहवाही कमाई है, ये भी पूरी तरीके से सिस्टम को कोलैप्स, ये पूरा कोलैप्स हो जाएगा। और जो मंडियों का जो हालत है कि जो किसान जिसको लेकर के कह रहे हैं कि भाई अडानी अंबानी जियो को जारी करके जियो को पूरा एक साल उन्होंने फ्री लोगों को चलाने दिया, और जब प्राइवेट कंपनियां बैठ गई, BSNL बैठ गया, जब सब बैठ गया, अब जाकर के हर चीज़ को उन्होंने चार्ज के दायरे में ला करके और एक तरफा मोनोपोली कर रहे हैं। इसी तरीके से जब मंडी में जब टैक्स लगेगा तो टैक्स से बचने के लिए किसान बाहर बेच देगा, कुछ टाइम के लिए हो सकता रेट भी ज़्यादा दे दें, लेकिन जैसे ही मंडियां ख़त्म होंगी वैसे ही उनका खेल पूरी तरीके से चालू हो जाएगा। तो ऐसी सूरत में, ऐसी स्थिति में जब तक ये प्राइस कंट्रोल नहीं होगा, या प्राइस कंट्रोल जब तक गवर्नमेंट अपने हाथ में नहीं रखेगी, और तब तक ये जो है इस तरीके से खुला छोड़ देने का मतलब है कि इस देश की जो जनता को मतलब आने वाले दिनों में एक भुखमरी की कगार पे, और उनका कोई भी किसी प्रकार की कोई जीवन यापन की गारंटी से अपने आप को हाथ निकाल लेना और कर लेना, ये मुझे लगता है। तो अभी हमारे साथ विद्वान वक्तागण हैं जो अपनी बात को रखेंगे, तो मैं चाहूँगा कि अनूप जी थोड़ा विषय प्रवेश करके इसको विधिवत आगे बढ़ाएं।
Thank you, Ram Kumar ji. Very good afternoon to our speakers, Dr. T.N. Prakash Kammardi ji and Dr. Narasimha Reddy ji, and all the participants who are joining this important webinar today. First of all, allow me to extend a warm welcome on behalf of the Frederick Ebert Foundation. साथियों, जैसा आप लोगों को मालूम है कि जो किसान हैं, इनका एक बहुत बड़ा प्रोटेस्ट जो है दिल्ली में, आज उस प्रोटेस्ट का 24वां दिन है और ये काफ़ी लंबे समय से चल रहा है। और हम लोग ने देखा है कि ये जो प्रोटेस्ट जो फार्मर्स का चल रहा है, इसमें कई राज्य सरकारों ने भी इसमें शामिल हुए हैं और कई सारी गैर सरकारी संगठन भी।
Sorry to interrupt. Can you speak in English, because people are also asking synopsis of what Ram Kumar.
So should I just speak in English?
Yeah, you can mix up and speak so that people from South can understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically we have also seen that the protest has got support from some of the state governments and also the larger civil society movement across several locations in our country. And of course, as we know, the crux of this protest is, of course, the 3 farm legislations which were passed by the parliament earlier in the monsoon session, and which was elaborately mentioned by Samiji and also Ram Kumarji. Of course, see, what the farmers are demanding is basically, that these 3 farm laws, need to be either be amended, to include their core issue of, inclusion of the minimum support price as a key element of the legislation. And also some are even demanding that the 3 legislations should be repealed in totality. So all they have to be totally reworked. Of course, we'll be hearing more about the laws in detail and their implications from our speakers later in the webinar. I would just want to flag off certain issues. See, we may recall that the MS Swaminathan Commission, which was constituted in 2004, had submitted 5 reports with recommendations on, elevating distress of farmers, and they also provided a framework for a sustainable and profitable agricultural system. In fact, the 5th and the final report discussed numerous issues, including land reforms, irrigation reforms, production growth, food security, credit and insurance facilities, and prevention of, farmers' suicide. In today's webinar, it gives us an opportunity to basically understand the rationale behind these laws, which was emphasized by Samiji in his intervention earlier, and also to look at, see whether actually there are any gains for the farmers or the larger agriculture workers through these laws, or whether, these laws will make them more vulnerable to exploitation. Also, I think it's important to look at the political economy of the Indian agriculture, how, these changes will impact that, and, with these reforms which are being introduced. Also, I think, how far the recommendations of the Swaminathan Commission are being covered through the introduction of these 3 legislations is something which is very important, because the Swaminathan Commission is always taken as a base, for the formulation of these changes which have been introduced in the agricultural sector. So whether, these 3 laws collectively together, are they doing any justice to the Swaminathan Commission's recommendations, or, there are certain improvements which have to be made, to really see whether these laws, these these legislations which are being brought about, whether they will actually contribute in improving the situation of the agricultural sector as a whole in our country. So I am really actually looking forward to hearing the interventions from the 2 main speakers, and I hope, our participants who are there with us in today's webinar, they'll be also be able to contribute from their own experiences at the ground level. So with this, I would like to end here, and would hand over back to Brother Ram Kumarji. Thank you.
धन्यवाद अनूप जी, आपने काफ़ी ठीक अपने स्वामीनाथन कमीशन के रिपोर्ट को अच्छी तरीके से एक्सप्लेन किया। अब हम डॉक्टर TN प्रकाश कम्मा रेड्डी जी को अनुरोध करेंगे कि वो अपनी बात रखें। डॉक्टर कम्मा।
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, I can only speak in English. My Hindi very bad. And let me thank the National Center for Labor, the Swami Ramkumarji Reddy, and all others for having arranged this webinar and bringing the agriculture labor issue to the forefront. My wholehearted appreciation. Let me also inform the most learned participants, it is the Karnataka which started the agitation much earlier than, the farmers of Punjab, Haryana and others have initiated. Precisely in the month of March, we have received a draconian direction from the center to amend the APMC through ordinance route. It is the first ever in the history of any federal government, to say that an officer informed the state government, central government asking, don't go through any debate, dialogue, discussion, bring about the change, disastrous change to the APMC. In the month of March 5th, we have received the letter. Consequently, it is in the month of April, we have virtually destroyed the spirit behind APMC. Side by side. Am I audible to all? Can I go?
Yes.
Side by side in the month of April, I think that is most important here. Nobody is speaking.
Samiji, I think you'll have to mute everyone except Mr. Prakash. Hello?
Somebody is traveling and keeping the mobile on. That's it.
ये डॉक्टर साहब आपका बंद हो गया, आपका माइक बंद हो गया.
Okay, sorry. In the month of April, Karnataka government has also brought amendment to the Land Reforms Act of 1961. Both are, APMC Acts and Land Reforms brought together in the month of, in the year 1960, around 60s. The Karnataka Land Reform Act is hailed as one of the progressive Land Reforms Act introduced and implemented in entire India. Actual tiller should be the owner of the land. There is a huge compulsion left. The Dr. Ramana Lohiya, JP had come to Karnataka, participated in the famous Kagod Satyagraha. Left and communist-led Dilaka Desai developed struggles for all were there. So Karnataka land reforms, along with the land reforms brought out in Kerala, West Bengal, all 3 or 4 states were said to be in the, at least in the relatively progressive nature. Karnataka government brought an amendment. It's not merely amendment, putting virtually death knell to the very spirit of land reforms. So these are not coincidence. So in the very beginning, an onslaught on a progressive land reforms and giving way to corporate takeover of the agricultural land, along with that, facilitating the corporate takeover of the agriculture marketing, putting in death knell to the APMCs, starting from a progressive, relatively any other state, Karnataka APMC is also said to be very progressive one. Our APMC's online trading is hailed as the best model in the entire India, cutting across the party appellation. During Siddaramaiah was the chief minister. During that time, I was heading the Agriculture Price Commission. Almost all states came forward to study our online trading. That's relatively. I don't say it's a perfect regulated market system. Both were virtually, I think, demolished in terms of any element of the original idea for which these 2 acts have been formed. You don't find any trace of it. Then came in the month of June, I think, the 3 laws have been implemented in the state. So in response to APMC and the Land Reforms Act, we have initiated a struggle in Karnataka in the month of September itself. September 21st, it's a massive rally, unheard, That was the period, COVID was at peak. Everybody is hesitant to get onto the road. We have conducted the massive rally, and many stalwarts, were present there. Yeah. Is it clear? Yeah. These are not the coincidence, these are not the accidental. The starting from Karnataka, starting from the land reforms. So an element of social justice is very much apparent behind the Land Reforms Act. If someone from the Karnataka, they can understand the famous Choma. What is the implication on the agricultural labor? That I'll let it come to that one. The Chomana Dudi, the famous the award-winning writer Shivaram Karan had depicted the desire of a Dalit agricultural labor, a Choma, to cultivate a small piece of land. It is prior to the land reform time, the story has been depicted. And at that time, he could have expected at least to be a tenant. Okay. So unfortunately, he was a Dalit. He could not get, because, there is a huge taboo to allow Dalit to cultivate the land, even for the as a tenant. And ultimately, he could get an option of converting into the Christianity. That is not possible. He ended up with, it's a tragic end. Till then, Karnataka had relatively achieved a good amount of distribution. Our Land Reforms Act, putting the ceiling limit, giving the ownership to the tiller, and a progressive land distribution to the agricultural laborers, Dalits, and others. We could achieve. I don't say it's a successful one. With all this, you cannot expect a progressive land reforms from the Congress. Congress was ruling at that time. There is a huge problem with the party social base. It's difficult. But anyhow, I could say that Choma could dream till recently to at least to have a piece of land. At least to think of, having a possession in the land if the distributions are between the land were to take place, if demolished. So as a consequence of this, in the Karnataka, movement is very progressive. It is the farmers, Dalits have also joined, because they could easily anticipate the repercussion of the diluting the spirit of the land reform. So Dalits have also joined. Obviously, workers are very much on forefront. It is the workers, in the agriculture sectors they're supposed to affect. APMC, gives lakhs and lakhs of people employment, daily wage employment, Hamalis and others. So all have joined, and the issue raised not merely something pertaining to the agriculture, but agrarian relationships have been promptly depicted in our struggle. That's called as the farmers, Dalits, and workers. A combined struggle, Aikya Horata. Throughout India, what's happening to cater to the farmers from the agriculture point of view? Here is a case in Karnataka, it's an agrarian relationship. What happened to the distribution? What happened to the farmers? What happened to the agriculture labor? After the late, still it's going on. A powerful social media campaign is going on to see that the take the agrarian relationship issue to the logical end, giving the ownership to the women also. Why can't the giant ownership? What I'm trying to say, at this point of time, Karnataka is witnessing this very, very significant progressive movement. I think some of us are very much here just now in support of the All India struggle, the struggle at Delhi. I think the indefinite the demo has been demonstration, indefinite strike, indefinite dharna has been innocent here. What I'm trying to say here, it is a clear introducing the agriculture reforms at the center. I think you have ensured that nowhere in India a progressive issues pertaining to the agrarian relationship, land distribution. If you put a assault on the agrarian laws of Karnataka, nowhere. It is not yet taken place at all. So it is a clear-cut design is very much here. Let me place, the figure I have with me is pertaining to the Karnataka, but if you study carefully Karnataka situation, that may also applicable to the other part of Karnataka, other part of India also. So as a result of not a very progressive, completely the distribution, in Karnataka, roughly 30% of the land is owned by what is called as the Ahinda, that means Dalits, minorities, and the OBCs put together, Alpasankhya, Dalits and minorities. So put together, these three classes possess the 30% of the land in Karnataka. The very interesting figure is here. In Karnataka at this point of time, 20 lakh hectares is kept as fallow. They could not cultivate. It's not cultivated. It's not because of various reasons. One of the reasons is the land size is so small. There is no rain. We have been facing the recurrent drought. You don't want to cultivate. There's no possibilities of cultivation at all. Who are these people kept agricultural land fallow? 60% is the small and marginal farmer, and 75% is the same Ahinda group. Dalits, OBCs and minorities kept their land fallow, but kept it intact as a possession. These are the people getting migrated to the different parts of Karnataka and also Andhra Pradesh. So they keep the land as a social contingency purpose, for the marriage purpose. At least their sentimental attachment to their village, but they migrate. If there's a good rainfall, they go back to the village. They cultivate, they do something. It is an element of livelihood security. What is at threat because of the amendment, 2 amendment in Karnataka, and also another amendment to the existing Labour Act. So see that Labour don't have right at all. So 3 acts of Karnataka state, 3 acts of India put together, give a serious threat to the livelihood security, income security of the agriculture laborers. So let me say that I think somebody from your center should clarify what is the extent of agriculture labor who are having the attachment to the land. How much are the landless? How much are the land with the land? In my opinion, in a state like Karnataka, land belong to the lowest strata of the family are also agriculture laborers. They are not totally landless agriculture laborers. The first onslaught of agrarian reforms is not a reforms at all. Destroying the very spirit of the land reforms and APMCs is to see that they lose the livelihood security. Why? They have given way to purchase of land anybody. If you have 108 acres in Karnataka. Earlier, there is a lot of restrictions. Only agriculture could buy. 25 acres cannot buy land. There are several clauses to see that you want to sell the land, you cannot buy easily land. But now it has gone. So who are these people who have the capacity to buy 108 acres of land? And the funny laws here to our land. Fine. The in and around Bengaluru, though, is having the wonderful borewell irrigation, and borewell is kept out of the irrigation sector, so that you can easily, I can give an open invitation to those people who want to grab the land, come and buy land up to 108 acres in and around Bengaluru. It's a prime land in entire India, not in the entire world. Possession of agricultural land, or the land for that matter, is the most prestigious in a city like Bengaluru, but you can buy land up to 108 acres. If you want to buy 108 acres, you should have a compact piece of land. Minimum of the 100 to 200 because our land holding says because of the type of the agrarian relationship, considered land reforms and subdivision fragmentation, it cannot be more than 1 to 1.2 acres of land. If you want to buy 108 acres of land, you have to displace minimum 100 to 200 farmers at a stretch. One is ready to buy land, another may not. You are lured, you are forced, you are threatened to see that you should part your land away. The first assault is on this 30% of the vulnerable section, lower strata of the society, to lose the land in a state like Karnataka. This is, they lose the livelihood security. And APMCs, we have the 196, some of the APMCs are excellent. I can hail from the coastal Karnataka, coastal Malnad district. Our APMCs are far better, the price discovery. Whatever they ask, you can put in, there is a good APMCs. And workers working APMC, making the good livelihood through various forms of the agriculture trade, they will lose the. So these are the people, agriculture labor. People attached to the agriculture sectors also lose labor. So like Choma can never think of the land at all. Most of the land has been taken away illegally from the Dalits, which has distributed. Still, the Dalits organization are fighting to get back those land once for all. The 79C says that all illegal purchase earlier is null and void. Nowhere in the history of civilized societies, the cases which are pending on illegal act, you are possessing the land, buying the land, taking the land. Nearly 13,800 cases were there. By scrapping this act, 79C of the Karnataka Land Reforms Act, all cases pending in the land illegal transaction become null and void. So you are allowed free without. So such a strange things have been happening. This is how the first threat on agricultural labor is see that 30% of the land, so-called land, with a little bit of land they will lose the land. Agriculture base link. Someone I think Ram Kumar has mentioned the culture, the type of the agriculture emerge in the countryside is yet to be understood. We don't know what would happen. So you will have the result of the various types of the generally emerged in states like Karnataka. The second assault on agricultural labor is to their food security. Everybody links, the media links that MSP is only for farmers. Behind the MSP, there is what is called as the most progressive, which have the immense social justice component, is called as the administered pricing system. The government intervene in the pricing of agriculture commodity, store, have a buffer stock and distribution. People are aware that India's food security, PDS system is hailed as one of the massive, elaborate. How many people are under our food security system? I think more than 80 to 90 crore population. It's unheard anywhere in the world to have such a massive direct food transfer mechanism in India. So that is at stake. It is MSP is for what for we are procuring 79 million tons of rice, dal, just to have distribution. So you are missing that component. MSP is not only for farmers. It's incidental to help the farmer. The main purpose of MSP is to have the buffer stock. Main purpose of the MSP is to have distribution. Main purpose of MSP is strengthen our food security system. What is at stake is the food security. The direct onslaught on the agriculture laborers, poor, vulnerable. Who are the poor in the countryside? It is agriculture labor. On both account, I think agriculture labor are going to be hit very severely. The assault is very fundamental. They lose their land, they lose the livelihood, they lose the employment, lose the livelihood, they lose any base for food security. So this is not the serious one. So, and also let me also end up with, if the time, let us have the more question and answer. The type of the agriculture system that could emerge after, once these all these acts are in the stage of acts, the rules have yet to be emerged. Any bill, connected to the act, the operation aspect of the act is the rules. The bureaucracy aligning with the unscrupulous, the policymaker would twist to the direction they want in a much more better way. People, just waiting to see that, how to form the rule. I think at all India level, before AP, our amendment to the, it's not amendment, destruction of the Land Reforms Act materialized, it's at the ordinance stage. Our bureaucrat has issued the guideline to say that, don't worry, whatever the illegal thing, I think they are in a terrible hurry to see that the act could operationalize in terms of the rules, in terms of the regulation, and operation it is found very soon. So what I'm trying to say here, it's a big challenge, no doubt. The type of the agriculture is going to emerge, not only threaten the livelihood and food security of the masses of the people, and also environmental sustainability as a geopolitics. Already we have witnessed in the Karnataka, we have amended our land reforms to facilitate the corporate agriculture in 2 or 3 crops, floriculture, aquaculture. These are disastrous consequences, water use, land use. Added to that, contract farming is disastrous from the agriculture sustainability point of view. Type of the technology that will brought in, there is exhausting the soil fertility. I am a scientist, I know very well. If you grow crop after the crop, same crop, if you use so much of fertilizer and get the water from so deep and use so much of pesticide, what is left out is the same crop, same type of technology. So environmental destruction is at And who are these people going to be affected? It is the poor, it is the vulnerable, it is the Dalit, it is the agricultural laborers. They will be exposed to such a disastrous technologies. Working inside, we have a study in the poly houses, for the floriculture. Somebody working inside the poly house, especially women, and we have recorded what are the health impacts. They have the recurrent abortion, recurrent problem. I think the same agriculture labor, if they get an opportunity to work inside the type of the farming, the type of the agriculture system, it's called as a corporate agriculture. Again, their health condition is very difficult. And the same farmer may get into the same small farmers, agriculture labor with a little bit land, get into the corporate farmers, farming sectors, they will have the health consequences. So all this put together, the days to ahead, things are not very, very bad, and I don't think the people are just allow this one. The struggle is very, very rampant. Somebody has telling, it is in the century, the resistance, the struggle which the India has been presenting to the world is enormous, very progressive one. It may pave the way. It's not only in India. I think recent study has clearly pointed out from the London-based institute said that it is in the entire Southeast Asia. In Pakistan, farmers are agitating for a better price. They are opposing the corporate takeover of their wheat sectors. In Sri Lanka, the farmers are unhappy because the fertilizer subsidy has been taken away. In Thailand, everywhere in the Asian countries, who are predominantly peasant farming, unlike, big corporate farming in the West, farmers with the 2 to 3, 5 acres of land, his or her family working together. The peasant farming are the farmers with the family backup, is going to be destroyed. There is a threat, but resistance is very strong. It may pave the way for new type of agrarian-based resistance, definitely through a new opportunity across the world to see that, there is a tremendous vacuum in the democracy across the world. What's happening in America? Trump, even after losing, is not ready to give up the power. We have thought, American democracy is a matured one. Elsewhere, you will see the democracy is crumbling, not performing, but the democracies elsewhere, is rooted through the industrial basis, rooted to the urban center, rooted to the corporate sectors. But here is a case in resistance. Voice is emerging from the agriculture sector. What the Gandhi has envisaged, where Ashok Mehta, Ambedkar has thought of, it is the farmers, the peasant, is the Dalits have been raising their voice. Definitely, I find immense hope, not only in India, elsewhere, to see this, the agrarian voice emerging from the soil, from the countryside, coupled with the agriculture labor issue, joining the Dalits also hands with the struggle, with the farmer, struggling farmer. I found an immense scope, a progressive coalition. With this, let me stop, and I don't know. To be frank with you, it's not my expertise. I deal with agriculture, I'm an agriculture scientist. I could deal a little bit with the farmers, but the agriculture laborers, even in our universities, focus was very, very inadequate. We have not done good research on agriculture laborers. So I think this is also time to look at the agriculture laborers. I think in that matter, now I once again thankful to the National Center for Labor for providing me this opportunity. And if at all I could do little justice, it's my fortune. If I not say that, it's my inadequacies to do justice to the subject assigned to me, and don't give up to see that the ultimate justice to the issue. What is the issue? The linking the agriculture laborer to the ongoing struggle to what actually introduced the policy change in the farm laws. Let's do justice, take it forward. Thanks once again, and my apology to Hindi people. मेरा हिंदी तो बहुत खराब है, मैं तो हिंदी में बोल नहीं सकता हूँ, and my apology. Thanks a lot.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद डॉक्टर साहब. आपने पूरा जो एग्रीकल्चर को जिस तरीके से गांव की जो सिचुएशन है, जो पूरा रूरल जो पूरा जो बैकग्राउंड है, उसको बहुत अच्छे तरीके से एनालाइज किया. स्वामी जी कहाँ हैं? स्वामी, क्या क्वेश्चन कुछ इसी पर ले लिए जाएं या फिर जो है दोनों प्रेजेंटेशन के बाद हम लोग जो है क्वेश्चंस को लें? Hello, Comrade Swami.
Yeah. See, we can have questions after both the presentations.
Both the presentations.
Yeah.
ओके, तो अब हम डॉक्टर नरसिम्हा रेड्डी जी से अनुरोध करेंगे कि वो भी अपना प्रेजेंटेशन दें. डॉक्टर नरसिम्हा रेड्डी जी.
धन्यवाद राम कुमार जी, and also everyone. Can you allow share screen? I have a presentation.
Please go ahead, Narasimha Reddy.
Yeah, I'm.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. I hope you can see the.
Yes.
I think I'll take off from where Dr. Prakash has left off. So he mentioned about implications of these new farm laws on agriculture labor. In fact, in this farmers' agitation, a lot of questions were raised why only Punjab farmers are there, and then there were answers. So there was a lot of debate on that. Who is there, who is not there. But the biggest issue is why agriculture labor are not there. I think that question no one asked. And they should have been there because the biggest implication of these new farm laws are on these agriculture labor in India. I think that's a big concern. And I should thank Swami for sorry, I think there was a technical issue. Can you allow again the share screen? Okay. Yeah, I know the title is ghettoization. Ghettos are the word comes from South Africa, where when they were under colonial rule, all the blacks were segregated, and they were they were pushed into one colony type, and they had to live only there. That's called ghettos. So that means encircled and controlled place where blacks will be there. So I feel agriculture labor are gradually being ghettoized through policies in India, and these new farm laws are part of that process. In fact, it began quite early, but this is the process. So now you can see, I think Dr. Prakash was also asking the data. If you look at the data, how many agriculture labor are there? This is, if you can look at, it is a census, 2011 census. There are 26 crore agriculture laborers. But then if you look at even cultivators, most cultivators are also, tenant farmers, as Prakash was mentioning, and some agriculture labor are also cultivators, and many cultivators have also started doing agricultural labor because they don't get much out of the farms. So there is a fair mix of this labor, agriculture labor. So in that sense, if you look at that, we have 48 crore workers in India dependent on agriculture. Most of them are small farmers, as Ram Kumardi was mentioning, 2 acre, 1 acre, half acre, pav acre. If you look at West Bengal, many eastern parts, very small land holdings are there, but still they work on that for their living. So we are staring at 48 crore population. And where are these people in this entire discussion on farm laws? I know Modi, I think today itself, he was speaking in a Assocham meeting. He says we have been consulting, but Prakash was mentioning, why they wanted to keep it. I'll go into that later. Uh, So this again, if you look at in terms of graphs, the same division about cultivators and agricultural labor. Now this is the latest 2018-19 data, which is based on the 2 years back data, but this is talking about percentages. So you can see on the second left, this is agriculture share of employment in total employment is 42%. So even today, India is still employing most people in agriculture. And among them, if you can look at, self-employed, 74%. Among this 42%, 74% are self-employed. So that means they are independent. So this is what now is going to change because of these farm laws. I think that's the idea of these three farm laws. I call them Trishul. It's three together. They are Trishul, and the effect is was intended to be Trishul because they were brought on the same day, on 5th June. Now, in terms of incomes, another implication is we need to look at the income. One second, this video is interfering. Anyway, the income you can see is very low. If you look at the second table, average earnings per day in urban is 256 rupees, in rural is 200 rupees. And these are the incomes which we are looking at now. But these three formulas are going to have implications on these very low incomes. I think Ram Kumardi mentioned average incomes per family is 5,000 rupees. Even the committee on doubling farmers' income, they said average is some 6,500 rupees per family per month. So that's very low. And then, of course, the committee said we'll double this. Double this will mean 12,000 rupees or 13,000 rupees. But will it be enough, or is it enough now? I think that we need to look at 4 aspects in relation to the agriculture day. One, whether these farmers are going to increase food shortages. So I'm not just talking about quantity, but in terms of diversity and also in terms of quality. 2, what about the implications on the purchasing power? 3, savings. We do a lot of savings, and in recent corona and lockdown, we have seen most of the families, at least 60-70% families, they have lost their savings because they had to spend more. So now with savings gone, what about the expenditure which might come up on education, health, and other requirements for social progress? So, and the 4th is work shortages. do we get enough work because of these formulas? Even before, if you remember last time when we had discussion on this NCL platform, we were talking about how agriculture labor are increasingly finding shortage of work and unemployment, not only in rural areas, but wherever they migrate as well. So I think we need to look at these four implications seriously. These are the pictures which we have seen during this lockdown, and people walking long distances. So you can see the kid who is eating maybe after 2-3 days because someone has given. So increasingly, I feel we are going to create a population which is dependent on doles rather than respected self work and Atmanirbharta, what they talk about in Hindi. We have a population which is they work and they have that respect because of that. But increasingly, I think we might be pushing our population to depend on doles, like what we are seeing in Africa and other countries. Now, loss of assets, I think somewhere Dr. Prakash mentioned about land dispossession, which is happening increasingly. Apart from fallow land, most, agriculture labor or whoever has land, they have land which is not cultivable or which can't be used for any other purpose. But even if they have, I think over years, because it was left fallow because they don't have capital to invest in seeds or all other agriculture inputs. Now most of that land might have degraded. So the on one sense we are talking about dispossession legally, and the other side is because of environmental degradation and whether many other aspects, they have to leave that land and it will not produce any food for them. And labor shortage and surplus. So now you have two aspects. Even though we have 28 crores population, in many places there is shortage, and in many places there is surplus. So I think these three formulas are going to distort this situation further. And then disruptions in social supply. Of course, both speakers mentioned, and we know PDS is going to be affected seriously because of that. That I'll come to that detail. So the avenues for growth of this agriculture labor are being cut off by these three agriculture laws. Now, this is one of the aspects which I want to mention about how ghettoization is happening. This is a budget for employment, NREG. Now you can see this. I just took only for this last 6 years. In 2015-16, the allocation for NREGA was 1972 crores. Expenditure was 2057 crores. Then 16-17, it went up because of pressure. People asked, why are you not doing that? Even though there is an act, the allocation is not there. So it went up to 54,556 crores. Expenditure was 65,970 crores, a little higher than that. 17-18, again allocation went up to, remember we are nearing election year, so allocation went up to 81,000 crores, but then expenditure dropped severely to 55,000 crores. In 18-19, its allocation was 55,000 crores, expenditure increased a little higher. Last year, 2019-20, it is to 60,000 crores. We don't know how much expenditure has happened. And in 2021, this current year, the allocation is 61,500. These are data from budget documents. Actual, figures could be different because over years our budget documents are different from what government does. But if you look at this, except this scheme, NREGS scheme, there is no other scheme meant for agriculture labor. 43 crores, or even if you take 28 crores of agriculture labor out of 130 crores, they don't have a ministry. They have only one scheme. There is no policy. There is no planning working group, and there is no budget allocation. There is no committee. So this is what I am saying. Gradually, people are pushed into some welfare scheme, and then they are shut out of all other aspects of public policy. So these three formulas are like that only, because there is no discussion with agriculture labor, even though they are more dependent and they are more number. So what we are seeing is increasingly ghettoization of agriculture labor. And even if someone asks, why are you not doing, what are you not doing, so there is advocacy. They'll say, oh, we are given 60,000 crores. That is as if agriculture labor are dependent only on employment. They are also citizens of this country. They have a role to play in the development of this country. The development policy has to be, where these people need to be consulted. It's not that, you just push them into ghettos, policy ghettos, and say, okay, I'm taking care of you. So it's like that, and that situation is now, aggravated by these three formulas. So for 26 crore population, we don't have any of these aspects. Now I'll come to these three formulas. One is Essential Commodities Act, and second is Trade Facilitation Act. We have this long names for this act, and third is Contract Farming Act. Now all these three together were issued as ordinances on 5th June 2020. So I think we need to understand why three together have been brought about. So the idea is to have a macro impact at a time. I think also we need to understand whatever changes will come as three together. Individually, they will have their own implication, but together also. So I said that this is a threshold impact which we are seeing. Now coming to Essential Commodities Act. Now what it says, the government says this Commodities Act is amended basically to increase agriculture competitiveness. So they say we want to increase competition among agriculture companies, base companies. It's not competitiveness between farmers. It's not about competitiveness between agriculture labor or between farmer and labor. It is more about investor feeling that there is a competitive atmosphere, so we need to invest in this. So that's the first line government itself has admitted. And second, it says enhance farmers' income. Now, this is in Essential Commodities Act. Now, nowhere, even today, after 6 months and this last 20 days of debate, no government spokesperson could establish how, by removing foodstuffs from Essential Commodities Act, farmers' income will increase. Nowhere they could. The only thing they keep saying, which I'll come to that aspect, is it says more big companies will come and they'll give better price. So that better price will transform into higher farmers' income. That's what they're saying. So that's where they're saying liberalized regulatory system. So there won't be any regulatory system. And finally, protecting consumer interests. Now here, I think we need to understand about food shortage and the quantity and diversity decreasing because of this. Now you can see the provisions. They have removed all the foodstuffs from this Essential Commodities Act. Now, this act itself came in 1955. So everyone says this was brought when we had a low, when we had a drought, or when we had a lot of food shortages, and to avoid black market, this was brought about. But now we are in surplus, so we don't require that kind of black laws. That's the idea they are giving. But if you look at the experience of Corona and lockdown all over the world, especially America. In America, they don't have any public stocking. So, this act actually, Essential Commodities Act in India, allows for public stocking and, prevents any black market go down storages like that. So, they are now finding problem in getting food for the people in America, where food is already there. So now everyone is realizing that public stockholding of food is very, very important. And this Essential Commodities Act is going to help in that. Second is, they said they can bring back foodstuffs into the act only under a very extenuating or a very emergency measures. And those emergency measures will be decided by central government. But earlier, state governments had a role in this, inclusion and deletion of foodstuff from Essential Commodities Act. Now they have removed the power of state governments, and now the power is centralized. Now this will again have implications because most of agriculture products harvest are state-wise they are very different. So in North India, if wheat is grown very much, in South India it will be paddy. In Maharashtra you have onions. So whenever there is a problem with one of the crop harvests, and that has to be brought into Essential Commodities Act, generally central government takes a national view, and it will not take a state level view. So usually this is very difficult to bring back any commodity into the Essential Commodities Act by central government, because they will not look at it like that way. And we are seeing now onion prices have increased. Ram Kumarji has mentioned wheat, makkah, and another product, but onions also they have increased after this 3 laws came, and now government yesterday they said now they are going to control export of onions and import of onions as well. So basically what this law says is there is to be a differentiation between hoarding and storage. So, you could store, buy, private players, they could buy and store, but only by informing the government and only by the regulation of the government. Now, this has been removed. Now, anyone can buy anything and they can store any amount of foodstuffs, and there's no questions are asked about it. So this line was drawn by Essential Commodities Act because prevent black marketing. But now we are increasingly seeing what has happened in 2015-16 as well. If you remember, this tur dal, 2015-16, we had a lot of shortage of tur dal. So the price shot up from 60 rupees to almost 150, 160 rupees per kilo. That means it was not available, it was not accessible for many of the agriculture labor families because they can't afford to buy that. But then this is the dal which gives them proteins, this is the dal which gives them nutrition, that we know. So now, because of that, government at that time, they thought they'll import from other countries like Canada, New Zealand, and 1 or 2 African countries, which they don't consume. In fact, India is the biggest consumer of pulses and of course tur dal. So one big industrialist who is named now everywhere, they entered into a contract with the African country for 5 years because they said, we will not give you for only 1 year, we want a 5-year contract. So they entered into a 5-year contract. Then we had tur dal came in that year, and then of course the price came down. But then next year, farmers, when they saw there is a huge demand and the price is increasing, they went for cropping of this tur dal. So next year their harvest increased, but then because this 5-year contract is there, the imports also came. So again the price fell down. Farmers did not get a good price. So that continued to happen next 3 years. Even this year, tur dal prices for farmers is very less. But when you look at the consumers, it is very high, and almost 120, 130 rupees. So this kind of happenings used to be controlled by Essential Commodities Act. Now this is removed. Once they remove it, I think any player can play whatever they want to do, and the central government, by the time it acts, by the time we all generate demand for a change, and then it goes up to Delhi. By the time they change, I think they'll profit, private profit will happen, everything will change. So this is one major issue, and as I said, that this is going to impact on the food quality, which is going to come to agriculture labor. So this is one example, but you can look at sugar. Sugar earlier was part of PDS, but now it is removed. Now I think it's only paddy and wheat. So we had a number of products on the menu, but they are not there now. So this is one implication which I'll have. The second is, this is trade and commerce bill. This is where they want to, they are talking of barrier-free trade. Now, after WTO in 1995, of course, all of you know, between countries, there was a lot of clamor about free trade. So trade can happen without any barriers. But 10 years later, in 2005, when the agriculture agreement on agriculture came about, the discussion within India was, no, we have barriers between the states. So, if you want to trade between Uttar Pradesh and Telangana and Andhra Pradesh and West Bengal, there are barriers. So these barriers need to be removed. So that kind of discussion started happening for long. So ultimately, now they come to a conclusion. Because these discussions happen only in research institutions and in planning commission or Niti Aayog. Nowhere farmers unions or labor unions were part of that discussion. So ultimately, they said we will have national unified market, and we can have more markets and electronic trading. Now this is latest, most people have ignored this. National agriculture market was set up in 2017, but it did not deliver the expected outcomes because of that. But now with this law, this electronic trading is you can sit here and somewhere you can buy, and that will facilitate a lot of trade. But then the issue here is now this says anyone can be a trader. If you have a PAN number, anyone can be a trader. But they are saying this will give farmer a good price. But this is not new. As I said, national agriculture market started before, and the experience there shows what is the problem is. You have one market in Nizamabad that is basically trades on turmeric. Now when this national agriculture market was announced, they said they'll have a software where any trader from Bombay, Ahmedabad or Maharashtra can participate in the auction which happens in the Nizamabad, Telangana turmeric market. But then when we went there, we have seen farmers were given a small slip, computerized slip. So when he enters, his harvest is weighed, and then he is given a slip with the name and the product and the quantity he has with them. Now we are seeing there is a computer kiosk in the same market, and it was crowded by all these artiyas and the regular middlemen who were available in that market. So in the computer, I don't know what they said. At the end of it, by 3 o'clock, each one brings back a slip, goes to the farmer and says, I have bought your harvest. Because all these farmers' names are listed there. So actually, as per norms, farmer has a right to reject that offer, whatever price is offered. And he is given time to think about it for 1 hour. But the farmer does not know all this. This guy with the same middleman, he comes and says, I bought this. And he gives a price and says, this is the price which was decided there. So there means where it is a computer or who decides, no one knows. At least earlier, middlemen, they used to stand before the farmer. They might have a dusty on their hand, and then they have their own sign communication. But at least it used to happen before them. But now with a computer and internet, they don't know who is deciding their price. So, and they don't know that they can reject that as well. So eventually, what has happened is farmers are increasingly becoming unaware of who is the buyer and what is the who is fixing the price. Now with the futures market, there is a futures market for many agriculture products. Futures market is, in March or April, before the planting of the crop starts, someone invests in that crop and says, this is the price we'll pay at the end of the crop. So that pricing is decided by futures market. Farmers are nowhere aware about it. So when they go to the market, they completely are at a loss of what is happening. So this new law further extends this electronic trading, and it disempowers the farmer. Now what the government is saying is, no farmer can take anywhere the harvest. He need not come to the market yard. He can take it anywhere and sell it. That freedom farmer always had. One of the everyone says we are given for the freedom now. No, it was not the case. Nowhere, no law prevented farmer from selling his product. If it is from Telangana, he can sell it in Delhi anytime, even before this law. But now this is for trader. Trader can buy anywhere, and trader can move the product anywhere. He can store the product anywhere, and he can do whatever. So this kind of law, they are saying it will benefit the farmer, but in fact it will cause problem. Now the other aspect is, it's not that entire Indian crop harvest happens through market yards. Almost 30, 50, depending on the state, most of the market, the harvest is sold outside the market yards. So, in Punjab, it will be 70, 80, 90% through the market yards. But in Assam and like Bihar, it is completely zero. So each state has its own marketing, environment. So already farmers are selling it outside the markets freely, but then they are not getting the price, and that's a problem which has not been addressed by this law. But then they keep saying we have addressed it. They have not addressed it at all. How to empower the farmer when traders come and buy the harvest? So this, I think that we need to understand. Now the third law is contract farming. I think this again, we have a lot of contract farming happening before this law as well, but we never had a law. So this law tries to bring a framework of farming agreements, a national framework. So through this they are saying each company or anyone can enter into a agreement with farmers, and they can give you the terms and conditions can be negotiated. It can include supply of farm services also. Now here, the implications on agriculture labor is very, very important. As I said, increasingly, contract farming means the company which invests, they will try to reduce their cost of production. So that means more mechanization will happen through contract farming. It has happened before, and you can see examples everywhere. So increasingly, mechanization, ultra mechanization. I'm not just a tractor coming into the farming. Now you can see even the drones are being used, plastics are being used. So a lot of mechanization can happen because of this Contract Farming Act, and that will imply on the work availability for the field labor. And then the other aspect is, I think once the company enters into a contract, it happened in Indonesia, it happened in Philippines and many other places. The same farmer who is a contractee for the company becomes the labor of that company in his own farm. And that's happening. So again, this displacement of a existing agricultural labor also happens through this process. And of course, once the Contract Farming Act comes, all your tenant farmers are out of the agriculture. So, if you look at Telangana and Andhra Pradesh and many states, at least 40-60% are tenant farmers. So all these tenant farmers become unemployed, and they have to move away from agriculture. So again, there's no mechanism which has been thought about for these kind of impacts on tenant farmers and agriculture labor. Just to give you a few examples of contract farming, sugarcane for long is a contract farming. So you have a factory, a sugar mill, and a defined geographical area. Under that, whatever sugar cane is produced, that has to come to this mill. And just 2 days back, on 17th December, government of India said we are releasing some 3,000 crores to pay for farmers who did not receive payments from the sugar mills. So this has been an endemic problem for the last 30-40 years. Sugar mills never pay farmers on time. So every time, it takes 2-3 years for farmers to recover their payments for the sugarcane they supplied. And then pricing is again, because it is a fixed area and a fixed sugar mill, price is dictated by sugar mill. So usually farmers lose out on that because they can't sell it outside this framework of the geographical framework of that sugar mill. So increasingly you can see only cooperatives were good. If you look at Maharashtra example or some parts of Uttar Pradesh, only cooperative sugar mills and cooperatives where farmers and sugar mills work together, it could happen. But wherever private sugar mills have come, like what we are seeing in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, sugarcane farming has gone down severely. Now, even in sugarcane farming, now the latest development with regard to agricultural labor is now again it is given to contract, middlemen. So these middlemen people, they are now controlling when women have to, they have this menstrual cycle. So they are trying to say, women with menstrual cycle, they can't come into sugarcane cutting. So there are a number of examples of agricultural labor being put to stress in sugarcane farming in Maharashtra. and that is, we are looking at a recent phenomena where agricultural labor are being controlled by this, labor contractors. You can see the second issue is the potato. Potato is again already contract farming is there. PepsiCo is working in Gujarat, Rajasthan, Punjab, Uttar Pradesh places. There, farmers, even though they have contract of buyback arrangement, usually company, they grade the harvest and they take only whatever they feel it is response to their grading criteria. So other harvest is left out, and farmer, they don't get payment for that left out harvest. So because that is a small quantity, again they have to sell it outside, and they don't get a good price out of it. So there are a number of violations, and recently in 2019, 18-19, just before elections in Gujarat, we found 5 farmers, this company, PepsiCo, filed cases against 5 farmers saying they have infringed on their seed patent. Their seed, their potato, they say they have sold it outside and they have infringed on that, and they wanted 5 crores or 10 crores of compensation from 5 farmers whose total land does not go up to beyond 12 hectares. So only when we intervened, and because it was elections, then they backed out. So companies can sue farmers, and companies will sue farmers whenever their business interests are compromised. So at that time, what is the way out for the farmers? In this Contract Farming Act, they say no civil court can intervene. They say no civil court can intervene. That means the farmer will have to go to High Court or Supreme Court, and the company will drag them because they can be harassed in that way. And so that is one of the contentions in this farmers agitation as well. Why both the Trade Facilitation Act and Contract Farming Act specifically says no suit will be entertained in a civil court. Civil court is at least near to the farmers. So both these acts, they don't have a grievance mechanism, even though they say farmer can go to collector or SDM, but we have seen already examples in Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, where farmers who have lost, in this contract, whenever they go to them, they will not even intervene. They don't meet them at all. So these farmers can't keep on going around these offices just because a company has violated their contract. Cotton seed in Telangana is a big issue. Cotton seed industry, where companies turnover increased from 2,000 crores in 2005 to now almost 15,000 crores. But the area where cotton seed is grown in Telangana, all the Human Development Index shows that in fact, they have become poorer in the last 10-15 years, while the companies have become richer. So again, this is a contract farming, and many aspects are there. Oil palm, there are a number of crops where there are contracts already, but farmers lose out on that. So this threshold effect I'm just talking about. One, it reduces the powers of the state government. It reduces the income of the state government. That means they'll increasingly become dependent on central government. Then market yards will be closed down. Their income will go down. In fact, if you look at the turnover of Maharashtra market committees, it is almost 48,000 crores. So once this 48,000 crores, converts from market committees to private players, you can imagine the implications on farmers and agricultural labor. And because of these two issues, as I said, the agricultural labor, they'll find the products, the food consumption, food they require the prices of that food is increasing. That will mean they can't get access to it, and then the quality will be an issue. And of course, consumers and farmers are also going to face problems. So that's a threshold effect we are talking about. So I have just a final 2 slides. This is, when we are discussing farm laws, it is about discussion between profit and equity and justice. So we are not just talking about in the air. We are talking about the experience and the current experience, ongoing experience based on that. It is also a discussion between federal powers, union government, and state government. So we have a federal system where states have more. We have a state system and a US the federal system. So our system is far better where state governments have much more role. They are nearer to agriculture, labor, and farmers. So whenever they have an issue, they can go to these governments rather than going to central government. It is about food sovereignty. As I said, as farming becomes more, investors come in, they are going to decide what kind of crops are to be grown. So increasingly value-added crops, they keep saying value-added crops. So one example is maca. In maca, corn. Corn now, you can see all over India, the seed we have it is only for animal feed or chicken feed. So it can be processed only in the company factories rather than, even if you just put one grain of corn in your mouth, you can't break it. It will be such hard seed. So the seeds which are suitable for industrial processing, that will start coming into it. That's why we are saying it is food sovereignty and also seed sovereignty. Over a period, like what it happened in potato, they'll bring their own patented potatoes or seeds and then try to dictate what kind of farming can happen. So it is an issue of food sovereignty, seed sovereignty, and also farmers' freedom. Farmer, usually they decide whatever based on their condition. But once they become contracting party, I think increasingly it will be a problem for them. And as I said, it is economy, environment, and ecology together. So the economy of the agriculture labor, economy of the cultivators, economy of the farmers is going to be ruined. And then of course the environment, because all the companies, they want output yields. That means they are going to use more and more pesticides, more and more fertilizers, more chemicals, more genetically modified seeds. So it is also about economy, environment, and ecology. And finally, the policy changes which I've been mentioning in between is, one, I think it is going to decrease the subsidies for agriculture wages. Of course, it is only NREGA. Now, I think even that is going to decrease. Public investment in agricultural labor is going to decrease because, increasingly saying it is not in a position to invest, and since there are now more private players, they are not going to help out as well. Cost reduction versus a standard of living, that will also come down because the food quality is going to deteriorate, but the prices are going to increase. So negative transition is mechanization. It is increasingly happening already. The second is commercial crops, and rather than food crops, rather than local food crops. So we'll have more commercial crops and export crops. So increasingly they are going to look at export rather than local production, local consumption. So, of course, land reforms is what we need to again and again talk about. And then we need to talk about rural communities involved in food production. That is for self-consumption. So I think that local food, local production, and local consumption, I think that's a cycle which we have to talk about. And then the biggest loss I feel is skill and knowledge. Agriculture labor in India, they have had lot of knowledge. They have knowledge of seed. They have knowledge of how to sow plants, how to sow, when to do. All this knowledge is lost, and once it is lost, then you have to depend on training institutions who don't know ABCD of Indian agriculture. So that situation is going to become more problematic for this 26 crores population. So we have to talk about transformative role for agriculture workers in Indian development planning. I think that should be our biggest slogan, because it's not that just because they are agriculture labor does not mean they should not participate in the decision making. In fact, Constitution gives us that right under fundamental principles and directive principles. So this transformative role can be played by agricultural labor only when these platforms are enabled, not destroyed. I think that we need to talk about. And so we have to talk about new rights framework where we are talking of precautionary principles, because a lot of changes which are being brought about, they are not assessed for their impacts on rural and agricultural labor. So I think we have to talk about new rights framework based on this precautionary principle. So I'll stop here. I think if there are any questions, we can take. Thank you, Ram Kumarji. Sorry, I hope I took a lot of time.
No problem. तो धन्यवाद सर, आपने काफ़ी डिटेल 3 बिल और जो उसका इम्पैक्ट पड़ने वाला उसके बारे में रखा। अब मेरा साथियों से गुजारिश है कि जिसका कोई सवाल हो तो उसको कोई भी जो है आप क्वेश्चन पूछ सकते हैं, या किसी को कोई शॉर्ट टिप्पणी करनी हो वो भी कर सकते हैं। इस समय ओपन फोरम है।
Dr. Prakash is there. Dr. Prakash is there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, yeah. Now we are opening the floor for the questions. If you have any doubts, you can ask Dr. Prakash and also Dr. Narasimha Reddy.
Maybe language was a problem for many people, because I see most of them are Telugu and of course from Karnataka. So maybe language is an issue. Telugulo అడగాలన్నా అడగండి, ఎవరన్నా అడిగితే నేను ట్రాన్స్లేట్ నేను చేయగలుగుతాను.
Any language, no problem.
I think
Am I audible?
Yes.
My question is to Mr. Kammardi. Mr. Prakash Kammardi, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Who is asking this question?
I'm Katyayani Chamraj.
Okay, tell me, madam, how are you?
I'm very well, sir. Thank you. How are you?
I'm fine.
Yeah, nice to hear you. My question is, there are already these district cooperative societies, which are only mainly thrift and credit societies. Can they transform themselves into becoming something like the dairy cooperatives, which set up the collection centers, which set up storage godowns and also do the marketing? Can they be transformed to become the village level collection centers for the small farmers?
This is district co-op. These all are the government-sponsored cooperatives. So I don't have much hopes on that. You have say better institutions are called the marketing federations. We are having the hundreds of market systems. Cooperatives are the only solution, no doubt, as Mr. Reddy has rightly pointed out. But cooperatives within the clutches of under the strict clutches of the government is very bad. Take the case of the HOPCOM. But we can think of definitely a KMF model, though it is a little politicized, but KMF model. In fact, we have placed before a federation like milk federation for the pulses. So they can have the 2 or 3. I think we can work it on that one. Cooperatives are the one, but the existing cooperatives are under the government control. But you have to envisage new forms of cooperatives. And the farmers produce FPOs I think some FPOs are doing very well. Whatever it may be, the group approach is the ultimate solution. It should be democratic. It should be free. It should be from the government. It should have an element of real market knowledge. They should have the business profession rather than the more of some sort of politicizing the cooperatives. Definitely a group approach, collectives, cooperative, farm, FPOs, whatever you call, they are the ultimate solutions.
Thank you. My only suggestion is the farmers who are protesting are not asking that the BJP should implement its own manifesto, which talked of farmers producer organizations and setting up of storage houses and helping the FPOs to market. So why are they simply protesting but not asking BJP to implement its own manifesto, which spoke of all this?
That's right, madam. Mr. Reddy has pointed out the doubling the farmers' income. Very good report. And because I was also part of 1 or 2 chapters are from our end is also there. Ashok Dalwai has done a good job in collecting the enormous information as well as a roadmap. Of course, it's a bureaucratic exercise. We cannot just deny. There are several good points are there. One of the point, you may be surprised. The Farmers Commission, there's a doubling the Farmers Commission had recommended intervention in the various forms for procurement up to 40%. They have given how many markets should be there, what is the distance of the one market to other market, what way you can enhance the infrastructure facilities. I think they have done. The one thing one should ask, if the Modi Mahasaya has got any ear to listen, what happened to the so-called doubling of the farmers' income in 5 years? Already 4 years are over. So I think they are not at all accountable. Yesterday I just called somebody from Punjab, and the one unanimous opinion of the farmers who are on war strike is a jhoot bol raha hai. They cannot just listen to these people. They are misled. They don't keep up the word they have promised. Let alone introduce the MSP, MS Swaminathan recommendation. Many of the act, they contradict themselves. I don't think they are not worth. I don't know where do we, they themselves. Hundreds of things, they themselves committed. They are not keeping up. They are going opposite to what has been committed, what has been promised, what has been placed before us. Okay, fine. Nobody speaks about the doubling of the farmers' income. Such a huge commitment, such a pronouncement by the finance minister, prime minister, each and every agriculture university. In 4 years, in 5 years, 2000, I think 14, 15, they have committed. I think I cannot understand what's happening here.
Thank you.
Can I add?
Yes.
No, just to respond to your question, Katyani ji, one, you are right, BJP manifesto talks about FPOs, and of course, recent budget also said we'll facilitate opening of 10,000 FPOs. But then, this has been happening for the past 3-4 years. But this year, after these farm laws have come about, there's one experience I got. There are a lot of people who come to me asking about FPO. So I directed them to NABARD. NABARD is the facilitating agency for FPOs. So for the past 3 months, they are not responding at all. So ultimately, what I understood was these FPOs are not for common people like you and me or this thrift society. Yeah, it is basically they want a big investors to come and open the FPOs. So now we have Pioneer has a lot of FPOs. You have Monsanto has a lot of FPOs. So those kind of FPOs will get support because ultimately the instrument of FPO, Farmers Producer Organization, it's a company, and normally even I can't understand some of these company shareholding and those things. So farmers usually they depend only on the management, and that management team is supplied by either NGO or a company. These FPOs are going to become the arms of some industrial processing company. So if you have turmeric, then you'll have maybe some fashion company. They'll have open a FPO, and they'll get support from the NABARD and government, and then they'll start procuring. So that process I'm foreseeing. The other thing is when we are talking about markets, I have seen an example in Guntur. Guntur, there is one village called Kotipalli. Kotipalli is full of rich farmers. Most of the farmers' children are in US or other places, and each one is Karodpati. And they entered not now, 10 years back into futures market. So they thought they are big players, but then when they entered the future market, they understood that they are tiny particles in the entire future market, and the entire village lost lots of money, even though they are producers, and they knew they had computers, they had their children who can help them, and they had money, but then they were no match before the big players sitting in Bombay and playing on this futures market. So eventually, even though law says anyone can participate, ultimately it works out that all these small players, even in Telangana, we have SHG cooperatives involved in paddy procurement. Now, for the past 10 years, they have been doing good, for themselves, and somewhere there is a fair play with the farmers. But now, these are in trouble because now they need to be given separate licenses, and they need to compete with the paddy mills. So in the next 3-4 years, if these laws are going to continue, you can see the decimation of a small player and emergence of a big player. So one intellectual, based in Telangana, he says these laws are meant for Carrefour, these laws are meant for Amazon, these laws are meant for all these, Cargill and big players. They clearly said this is the objective, and this should happen. So only then he thinks farmers will get a better price. But then once it happens, we are seeing many countries where examples are there, where farmers become, they get reduced to agriculture labor, and agriculture labor eventually have to lose their employment completely.
Thank you.
So in fact, your question of thrift and credit societies, they can, on paper they can do, but I don't think they'll be able to match what is going to happen.
No, ultimately, some sort of the collective action, you call it as a cooperative, you call it a FUs, whatever the name you call, or the ultimately we need to have that too. There are successful model. I don't fully agree that they are not successful. In Aracanet, that's where I from. The Aracanet cooperatives are, because of the nature of the commodities and the farmers who grew, extremely successful, no doubt. Then followed by this most important success story about the FU is the coconut, in the Kerala and Karnataka, southern Karnataka, thanks to very dynamic IAS officer from the coconut board, he promoted a true FPOs have been evolved, but after his removal, again they are not functioning very well. Again, in case of the coconut farmers, FPOs are very successful, promoted by, supported by the coconut board. And the last but not least, in Mysore, Raita Dhwani, a farmers organization, sugarcane farmers organization under Mr. Kuruburu Shantakumar, Raita Dhwani, it's exporting. I think 10 or 15 crore rupees is the total transaction. It is very successful because it under the clutches, under the total direction of the farmers organization. Farmers organization must look at their collective activities, collective bargaining power, capture the market, to see that through cooperatives, one avenue. And finally, it's a collective action. Then some sort of a legal protection, enhancing the procurement, and see that our PDS is further strengthened and the state intervention is further improved, is the only solution to the farmers. You should have the legal, MS Swaminathan MSPs can be implemented, but it's not too high. What is MS Swaminathan recommendation of the paddy? It's 25 rupees. It's not, consumer should not worry. 31 rupees for the ragi, 72 rupees for the tur, 15 rupees per tomato, 14 rupees per onion. These are the MS Swaminathan recommendation. If you could implement farmers, at least in state like Karnataka, extremely happy. So MS Swaminathan MSP, legal status to MSP, strong government procurement and distributions. These are the ways forward to see that, to see that farmers.
I agree. Collective action is the answer. I agree. I'm not denying that. I'm also saying cooperatives have been successful, but FPOs, invariably, of course, there are good successful FPOs also. I've seen in Erode one turmeric FPO, very good. They are giving, it's organic as well. So they are giving good price and for the farmers. I'm not denying that. I'm only saying, apart from cooperatives, which is a democratic setup, FPO is a controlled management control setup. So eventually, unless those management is transparent, and if they are not in turn controlled by a bigger company, I think they will also work. So collective action is required. But, if these laws come in, eventually, they'll enter into this industrial processed agriculture production, and then eventually they'll lose their niche. So that, in order not to lose that, I think, one, we have to start controlling our seed. So industrial seed is different from traditional seed. I think that's where they can have a different path. So they will not come to you to control. So from there we start, and then of course, if you have a natural farming, I think again, natural farming is more distributed energy rather than centralized controlled energy. So I think we have to take Indian agriculture in that process. So there I am, last webinar and here also I'm saying, we have not, we means not only government, even the advocates of natural farming, they also have not included agriculture labor into natural farming processes. So I think we have not done enough thinking, debate on how to integrate them into natural farming. So that I think process has to begin. So that will also mean the resistance to these kind of laws.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was very informative.
Thank you.
Anybody ask any question? Yeah, short intervention.
Namaste, sir.
Yeah, I have one question. Hello? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, I have one question. This is addressed to both Dr. Prakash and Dr. Narasimha Reddy. In near future, if this environment continues, let's say that this enacted laws are implemented, will there be any conflict situation between the large farm holders and agriculture workers? Uh, can you see that kind of a friction coming in the near future between the large farm agriculture landholders and the agriculture workers?
Ready, yeah. So this is the wherever the conflicts. You are the right person to answer this question. Where does the state stands is the question here. Obviously, state stand behind the corporate companies. State obviously stand behind. Who are these companies behind? We have we could collect. There are 24 Reliance-related companies on agriculture sectors. 14 or 16 from the Ambani. Adani, 24 is the Ambani, 18 Patanjali. I think put together 50, 60 companies are there. Obviously, you can see that if there is a conflict between a company, that happened. Earlier also that happened. This contract farming never paid the amount which is assured. And many times there is a huge environmental cost. In some cases, the over exploitation of the groundwater. In all these cases, at least the people residents were there. But now it is the government sponsored. The rules have been so framed, you will be put under bar. As he said, Mr. Reddy has mentioned how a company could sue because of the violation of the seed laws. Farmers are put under the bar. So the rules will be framed in such a way that any amount of resistance would not find any effect. But the people resistance in the long run, I believe, the Rajya Shakti cannot withstand the Jana Shakti. That's what the JP has given the call. I think Jana Shakti has to be little more strong, little more united. It's going to happen. But in the immediate future, the people, I think the surrounding people may have to suffer. They may have to pay the cost. Let me see that one. And the silver lining is that, let me see that what the consumers will do. Let me see that if the electric privatization comes, farmers have to pay the enormous amount. Some farmers, supporter of the BJP or the rural dispensation, they have to ask what would happen to the consumer in the days of the good harvest of the tour. The tour price has gone up just because of, which Reddy has said, just because of you have scrapped that ceiling, the holding provision under the Essential Commodity Act. The consumers also will pay. They pay the benefit. They just praise. They should worship the Modi demigod. They will pay the benefit. Then I think that would happen. It's not that easy to move forward. Let us see that what would happen. The game is very, very, very interesting to watch in the days to come.
I would say I would not frame it in the word of conflict, but I think the relations of productions are going to change. It is already changing, not just because of these laws, but when the laws come, I think it is going to increase the speed with which these rural relations of production are going to change. And there, I think there will be a complete disconnection between the farmer and the agricultural labor. So eventually you will see that segregation happening. Right now, as I mentioned at the start, cultivators and agricultural labor, they mingle. So over a period, I think eventually you will see the first step will be the separation between cultivators and agricultural labor. And eventually even cultivators will become either labor or they have to move out of agriculture if these laws and the agriculture competitiveness objective which is being mentioned, if it becomes a big outcome. Now, second aspect, I think, is a political contestation. I think there, if the contestation starts happening, so it could be groundwater, it could be surface water, it could be entitlements. So there, I think eventually agriculture labor become a single entity, because all others might have already disappeared. So these farmers, cultivators, they'll disappear. So we'll only find agricultural labor, and only them contesting whatever is happening in terms of resource management and resource ownership. So if you have seen last week in New York, water futures has opened. So now there is a futures market in water as well. So in India, eventually, water resources are going to be controlled because once the big contract farming comes, I think water is going to become a huge issue. So political contestation for resource management and resource ownership, I think that is going to happen. And if we are prepared and if we prepare, I think we'll be able to do a much better much better outcomes we'll be able to achieve. If we are just waiting for reactions to start in, I think we are going to be at the back foot.
और कोई क्वेश्चन है किसी का?
साहब कोई पूछ रहा था, सामी पूछने के पहले.
Namaste ji, I am Ramarao.
Okay.
Sir, I want to say just 2 minutes. These first initially labor, farmer and three are there in the three corners of the triangle. If you increase labor charges are increasing, means farmers are suffering. If farmers are getting benefit, means consumers are suffering. In the three triangles which were only 180 degrees are there. But how to increase the farmers' profits and all, farmers' income of doubling and all, I don't know. You experts have to explain this. And secondly, lastly, Reddy has told one important point, natural farming side, where we have to think more. Why? Because the seed itself is difficult for us to get from the companies. That's why the farmer should not use the seed from the companies. They should, Desi seed, we should use the Desi seed and Subhash Palekar's formula. And in this way, if you go, I think we can address some of the issues. And mainly one more important I want to ask, is there at least one benefit in these three laws? I want to know from all of you.
One benefit is discussion and debate. Now there is a lot of debate, if you look at entire India, people are discussing why farmers are sitting there for 22 days. So people may not agree why they are sitting, or they may criticize them, but I think that discussion is happening. So that's a good benefit I see. Now coming to your other question of the triangular question, you and I are looking at it as a triangle, but then there are a lot of distortions in between. So if you are saying, labor taking higher wages, in fact, if you look at the average incomes, as I mentioned, they are hardly getting 10,000 to 12,000 rupees. Hardly. I think some people get even 5,000, 6,000, and two people work in the same family, then they might get it. So today, because of the inflation, because of the food prices, food inflation, even in villages, you need to have at least 15,000 rupees of income. Now, if you work backwards, can a laborer, he can get 15,000 rupees from the same village from farming. Now, that's one aspect. Second aspect is why a small farmer is not able to pay more for wages, because he is pushed to pay for seeds and pesticides and other inputs. So like, we go to a cinema hall and we just pay whatever price is given, or we buy toothpaste, we just pay whatever MRP is there. But when we go to vegetable market, we start bargaining 2 rupees, 1 rupee, half rupee. So depending on that, we get the price. So this bargaining position for farmers is lost for seeds and other inputs. So that farmer thinks, because he can see the laborer before him, that's where only he can bargain. If he is not able to bargain, he thinks they are charging high and they are not accommodated. So this conflict has arisen because of cost of production increasing, because of inputs coming from external sources. So that's where I am saying, if you look at traditional Indian farming, seeds were controlled by agriculture labor. You can see examples many places. Women agriculture labor, they used to preserve seed for farmers. So this this relations of production, which was a dependent relation production, was distorted. So when we are saying to restore the triangular position, I think we need to enable these kind of relations of production. That's where the skill, knowledge of agriculture labor is very, very important. And then natural farming. If you are going for external input dependent agriculture, which is green revolution, second green revolution. In cotton, I have been working on cotton. Cotton, they used to pay 70 rupees per acre per seed, farmers. In last 15 years, now they are paying at least 5,000 to 10,000 rupees. And then still, they don't get quality seed. The day before, on 17th December, we had a meeting in Maharashtra with the government there. So farmers are not getting quality. They are paying higher price. And then at the end of it, they don't get a good crop also, because the boll now has become black inside. So the boll degradation is also a new phenomenon. So all these are happening because you have broken this traditional relationship, and now we have to pit them one against the other. I think that's where Swami was also trying to see whether these new farm laws are going to increase that. But as I said, they are farmers are going to disappear, and they are going to become labor. In that sense, they can become a conflict. Conflict can arise because of that. So solution is this, natural farming, as I said, local production, local food, and local, democratic production. So it's not just, we should have more people, even if they have half acre, they should have land so that they can produce their food themselves. I think that's a key learning which we are looking at when we see Philippines. You look at entire Southeast Asia, you look at Africa. We are still better because we have more people dependent on land. So I think increasingly drought, famine, all that will not be coming to us only when we have this mass scale production. And that will happen only when this shift of land has to be stopped. Land ownership is increasingly becoming centralized. So it's no longer earlier kind of jamindar, but increasingly you will find big film actors, companies owning hundreds of acres, and they don't do anything there. So this is again the ecological issue as well.
I think Ramkumarji.
Can I say? Ramkumar, I want to say something.
One point. I think the question is for both. Let me also add just one point. I don't take so much of time. Number one, I don't know how you can bring in the issue of natural farming, zero budget farming, organic farming in the context of the agriculture laborers. I myself is not very clear, I think if you are focusing exclusively on agriculture laborers, I think definitely we need a good habit. But how agriculture labor issue can be addressed in the larger technological issue pertaining to the production relationships or the type of the agriculture system. I'm yet to be convinced. Okay, let me see that. Second most important thing, the consumer rupee, the producer share is hardly 30%. We have the authenticated study in the Karnataka Agriculture Price Commission. Whatever the consumer pay, 1/3 goes to farmers. Here is a huge gap of almost 2/3, roughly. In some cases, it's much more than that. So the process, that's what the argument of those who advocate for the new policies, new programs. They say it is the middlemen take away the share. And the farmers are going to get benefit. Consumers will be benefit. That's what their argument precisely. But we should also up to consumers and producers are happy. At present scenario, neither producers nor consumers are happy. Someone will get the least. So that is, I think, something it's an imperfect market structure where you will see that it's unjust, imperfect, not a very someone to the extent I'll agree that it's not as such competitive in the nature. So that I have to make the question here. This can be done with the existing structure. APMC is a government control as well as it is a democratic control. Neither government nor democracy works in India. The democracy won't work not only in the APMCs and also in the assemblies and parliament. We cannot say it's a larger issue, but some sort of government control. But totally giving away this government control and democratic structure to a private sector, to a corporate body, uncontrolled, that will do justice to the both consumers and producers is something, no one have a foolproof example anywhere in the world. So that's what most important, and definitely consumers and producers can never be antagonized in a just product market and product system. They are both could be happy. And comes the question: let us make agriculture remunerative one. If the agriculture is remunerative, automatically wages are supposed to increase. They have to part away. No question of the sideline in the interest of the agriculture labor at all. First, let us make agriculture, farming is a remunerative. That's not the case here. Now it's very difficult to raise the issue of the agriculture labor, higher wage rate, so on and so forth, when farming is not that remunerative. I think we can definitely resolve farmers, consumers, and the workers. In most of the cases, they themselves are the one. Farmers are also a consumer. Many times, farmers themselves work outside. So you cannot expect altogether different segment. Definitely, it's a good question. I think a big challenge also for us.
I just want to add, Ram Kammardi, Dr. Prakash, you have an example you have done. You have declared 2,000 rupees MSP for Ragi.
Yeah.
You can see the transformation which has happened in Karnataka, where small Dalit farmers started looking at Ragi, and then because they consume that and they get energy as well. So I think, through this you can define what kind of crops can come in, and through that you give a toehold or a foothold for traditional knowledge which is still with the small farmers and agriculture labor. So I think that's one example you can define.
Yeah, that's what I have forgotten. Karnataka is the first state to introduce millet under PDS. Ragi and jowar. Ragi for South Karnataka people and jowar for North. We have given a good price, or at least Ragi farmers are happy to see that. Last year also we have procured nearly 16,000, 16 lakh quintals of the Ragi we procured. We could do justice. I think these are the real threat, not only for the ordinary consumer. This is a threat for the agricultural labor. This is a threat for the ration card holder. So these are something small but a significant impact will be there.
There you do a study of how it impacted on agricultural labor and how it improved the relations of production. Just because you have encouraged millet production.
Sure, definitely, I'll agree with you. Fully agree.
But we can one of question. Ruth ji asking some.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was thinking to ask, the speakers, these Ambani, Adani, and Patanjali taking over, the land.
Hello? No, we are not hearing.
No, she has muted herself.
No.
No, Ruth
She has muted. Ask her to repeat the question.
No, she has muted herself. Somebody has muted, I think, somehow.
No. I think she might have muted. You unmute yourself, Ruth Manora.
Yeah. Nice to hear, Ruth Magaramaji. Ruth, nice to hear. Please. We are in Bengaluru and we are discussing through some other media. Fine. Okay, please go ahead.
ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ರ್ಯಾಲಿಲೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು 4 ದಿವಸ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಸಿಪೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಸರ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ.
ಗುಡ್ ಹೇಳಿ ಬಂದಿದ್ರಿ ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತು, ನಾನು ನಿಮ್ ನೋಡಿದ್ನಿ. ಹೇಳಿ ಮೇಡಮ್, ಕನ್ನಡ ಗುಡ್. ಕನ್ನಡ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ತಮಗೆ ಹೇಳಿ, ತಾವು ಯಾವ ಸೂಕ್ತವಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಯುವರ್ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್?
My question is, these neo capitalists are going to take away the land. Till then, they were in the urban markets. Now they come into rural markets. The rural relationship of production will change. What would be the impact? First of all, there are a lot of women farmers are there. Whether women farmers would survive in this kind of conditions or not, whether they will be also replaced by mechanization, and then consumers. Now, if you see, there would be a lot of migration will take place again from the rural areas, to the urban areas. I feel so, because there's going to be a lot of confusion and people will be very dismayed with the whole thing. There would be a lot of migration from the rural to urban, urban to rural. There's going to be a lot of, problem, social, financial, cultural, because for me, for Dalits, land is not only an area of production. For them, it's also, life surviving, a kind of a means of, means for them. So what will happen with all this? To the women, to the most, Dalits, and to the children who are malnourished. In Karnataka especially, our children are much more malnourished than anybody else. So what will happen? What would be the impact? On women, on Dalits, I think, there should be, if the government says that, sabka baat, sabka, the Modi says that. But, there is going to be 60 to 70% of the farmers and agricultural laborers going to be affected. So this really, causes a lot of, worry. And the women who is managing their kitchen, do not have enough money now. And, if you see in the last 2 months, the prices of vegetables and, everything has gone up. So how are we going to really solve this issue? I think when the farmers are affected, when the land has been taken away, and, the new capitalists, they are old, but, I'm saying the new capitals in the rural area are going to come and occupy these places. What will happen, to rural India and its connection to urban India? That is my, lot of things are going on in my mind. What will happen to India? What will happen to rural poor? What will happen to urban poor? I mean, this is a connection, and people do not have work. And the essential commodities has gone up so much, price. How are we going to face this also? What kind of social problems that we are going to face, with all these in the coming, 6 months or 1 year, if these guys are not going to take away or, say, okay, we will not, we will not, follow these bills. Poor farmers are dying there. What will happen? What is your solutions, activists like us are very troubled over all this. But, every day, people are sitting everywhere and protesting. Every day, teachers are protesting, workers are protesting. You say, workers We had about 43 laws, and now we have only 4 courts. Confusing it is, which law would work now, which law will not work. So, so this is a great worry. I'd just like to hear from you. What are the dangers? How do we really counter that? Would be your knowledge can be shared on that.
This is the question to me also, Ruthji. But I fully agree with you. But the 2 more dimensions, I can definitely say. One is good, another is bad. The bad thing, just yesterday, our Chief Minister of Karnataka had welcomed this by saying that the FDI has increased by 43% to Karnataka. Foreign direct investment, just because of you have amended the land. And he said that the most of the media have welcomed this. FDI is coming up more and more and more. Capital is coming here. New technology is coming. That is how the whole the ruling class and the urban middle class, intelligentsia, media are looking at. It is welcome side. That is good. I don't know how do you look at. The best part of the whole agitation is, I think you are also part of that one. Nammura bhumi namagirli anyarigalla. I think let our land be with us, not to outsiders. It's a big, the campaign is going on, though it is a social media driven, but the women respond is, I have seen the people, the women, says that they are in the forefront, a silent, I can say the revolution, women are getting into the real politics. What is happening here? That is a hope for me. And the FDA related issue is the bit worry for this, and we have to watch, madam. I think we have to analyze. I think they never allow. One of the greatest strategy of the ruling dispensation at the center is to see that they never allow you to rest. They never allow. Look at the things that are happening from Kashmir to demonetization to, I think, what are there in their food, I don't know. How long this trick of diverting and attention and that too during the period of COVID will go, I don't know. But people resistance is enormous, response is enormous. Someone asked, what is the good thing? Good thing about, otherwise we would have safely sitting in the house, shutting our mouth, literally. But people are on treat. I think that is the greatest benefit in them. They've woken up. If the people could woken up, the amount of the resistance, it's unimaginable. That should be, I think, bothering to the ruling dispensation. During the COVID, people are out. The social resistance, the awakening is enormous. That is a hope for me. Women is a hope for me. Let us see how it turns out to be in the days to ahead. Let us wait. Let us be ready to play our role. Each one have got our own role, individually, organizationally, and we have our own role to play. Let us wait for that opportunity. That's what my immediate response to your questions.
I'll give you 2 examples. One is the milk. If you look back 20, 30 years back, milk produced in the village was accessible to many families within the village. But as the cost has increased, cost of milk has increased. Now it is 40 rupees, 60 rupees per liter. So the dairy farmer can get that price only in a local town. So eventually what happened across India, you can see milk going out of the village by 8 o'clock in the morning. After 8 o'clock, you will not find even a single drop of milk in even those villages where dairy farming is very intensive. So that means they are robbed of local access to their own local resource. Now, second example I'll give you. Milk, how important it is for children. Second is we are seen in cotton growing areas. Vidarbha region has been growing cotton since 200 years or more than 200 years. But they used to do mixed farming. So this is black cotton soil. Between the rows of cotton, they used to grow, other crops. Even if they did not grow naturally, they used to have leafy vegetables coming up. So this women labor they used to collect them, take them home and eat that food. So they used to get nourishment out of it. Then you take the example of tamarind. We used to have, all over India, we used to have tamarind. Tamarind has a lot of good properties, and that was the easiest food available for poor in the villages. Now you don't have tamarind trees, and there's no tamarind. So I'm saying the impact will be a fusion impact. It will be impact with environmental degradation. It will be a iniquitous social impact, and it will be a resource dispossession which is going to happen. So first step will be food access will decrease. So right now we are seeing onions. Onion now it is 70 rupees kg, at least in Hyderabad. So how many families can buy onion? It's already happening. If you look at pulses, you can see any pulse, it will be at least 110 to 120 rupees per kg now. So that means the poor, urban poor and rural poor, they can't eat pulses. Only if they get PDS supply. The PDS, they are giving only 1 kg once, not even per month. So these people are robbed of nutrition, they are robbed of a diversity of food, and they can't buy a lot of the food. You know, in Chirala, that's a handloom town. I used to go there. When I had food at one of the handloom weavers place, they had this simple gongura. Gongura, I don't know, Indians. So that's a leafy vegetable, and they eat gongura and tamarind pulsu. They were strong, but now these people are eating chicken because chicken is cheaper and this gongura is not available. So they can't even weave for 3 hours together. So eventually their capacity to work is also going down. It's not only because of food, lack of food or lack of nutritious food, because of chemicalization of rural agriculture. Now we are seeing many people affected because of pesticides. So gradually, as I mentioned in one of my slides, you are going to see food shortages, food access being curtailed, and then gradually they'll lose dispossession of their local resources, and then they have to completely become dependent on state to give everything to them. And only if the state responds or some NGOs respond, they will get money, which has happened in Africa. I'm not just stretching any argument. It is happening. If you look at Bolangir, which has happened in Orissa, you can see how tribal farmers lost. Only when they came back and when they were given some land, they were able to recover. So, we are seeing that process happening here and there, but these farm laws are going to uniformly impact across India, and that's a serious problem.
Ramkumar ji, I think we exceeded our time.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you should wind up.
तो सभी साथियों को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, और ख़ास तौर से नरसिम्हा जी को और प्रकाश जी को, जिन्होंने पूरा डिटेल इस पूरे कॉन्टेस्ट को हमारे सामने रखा, और जो अभी चैलेंजेस हमारे साथ चल रहे हैं, और जो फार्मर्स दिख रहा है कि ये फार्मर प्रोटेस्ट है और फार्मर्स वर्सेस गवर्नमेंट है, लेकिन एक्चुअल ये फार्मर्स वर्सेस गवर्नमेंट नहीं है, ये लोगों के लाइवलीहुड के साथ जुड़ा हुआ, और चाहे उसमें कंज्यूमर है उसका भी उतना ही जो है उसके ऊपर इफेक्ट पड़ेगा इस कानूनों का, और जो गांव के जो वर्किंग क्लास है उसके ऊपर तो पड़ेगा ही पड़ेगा पूरा, और इसके साथ साथ जो शहरों में रह रहे हैं लोग, पूरा उनके ऊपर मार्केट इफेक्ट पड़ेगा। इसलिए इस पूरे मूवमेंट के साथ, ये जो पूरा मूवमेंट है, इस मूवमेंट के साथ हम लोगों को अपने अपने लेवल पे एसोसिएट होना चाहिए। और यहाँ पर उत्तर प्रदेश के अंदर जो दलित ग्रुप्स हैं, उन्होंने ओपनली इस पूरे किसान आंदोलन के साथ जो मजदूर वर्किंग ग्रुप्स, लेबरर ग्रुप्स हैं, उन्होंने ओपनली ये जो फार्मर्स जो यूनियन के साथ अपने आप को एसोसिएट किया है। और क्योंकि ये जो बात आप बता रहे हैं, जो आप लोगों ने बताया, इसका इफेक्ट ऑलरेडी वो लोग झेलने लग गए हैं, देखने लग गए हैं। तो इसका जो रूथ जी ने भी कहा, ये अल्टीमेटली जब ये फार्मर्स बिल इस तरीके से इम्प्लीमेंट हो जाएंगे, आ जाएंगे, तो इनको अर्बन स्लम्स में जाने के अलावा कोई रास्ता इनके सामने बचता ही नहीं है। जो अभी ये जो गांव में रह करके अपनी जीवन यापन कर रहे हैं, इनके लिए रास्ता पूरा ब्लॉक हो जाता है। तो इनको अपना फ्यूचर, या गांव के लोग सब पूरी तरीके से इन चीज़ों को समझ रहे हैं। तो हम लोगों ने अपनी जो यहाँ पर समझदारी को साफ किया है, देखा है, और जो मौजूदा जो ये कानून के खिलाफ चल रहा जो मूवमेंट और आंदोलन है, हम लोगों को अपने अपने लेवल पे किसानों के साथ मिल करके और इन लोगों के साथ, और जो इसमें जो कंज्यूमर है, कंज्यूमर को भी निकल करके बाहर आना चाहिए। कंज्यूमर को लगता है फार्मर्स का केवल सवाल है, फार्मर्स का सवाल नहीं है। ये कंज्यूमर के सामने भी उतना ही बड़ा संकट खड़ा होगा जितना, जैसे आर्टिफिशियल अभी ओनियन की बात आप लोग कर रहे हैं, आर्टिफिशियल किस तरीके से मार्केट के अंदर पूरा जो है भाव बढ़ा दिया गया है, और तमाम वेजिटेबल्स खेत में बिक नहीं रही हैं, खेत में लोग जोत रहे हैं, खेत में खड़ी हुई फसल को लोग वेस्ट कर रहे हैं, और मार्केट के अंदर उनका प्राइस बहुत हाई है। तो ऐसी सूरत में हम लोगों को आज की वेबिनार में हम लोगों ने जो सीखा है, समझा है, और जो ख़ास तौर से नरसिम्हा जी और प्रकाश जी ने जो बात बताई है हम लोगों को, और साथियों ने जो क्वेश्चंस पूछे हैं, सवाल किए हैं, सभी साथियों का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। और इस वेबिनार को अब हम लोग यहीं पर समाप्त करें। और स्वामी जी, लास्ट कमेंट स्वामी जी का जो है।
Thank you very much, Ram Kumar ji, for your leadership and moderating this webinar. And somewhat we are able to balance, since you spoke in Hindi and two speakers presented their views in English. I am also thankful to both the speakers, Dr. Prakash and Dr. Narasimha Reddy, for their excellent presentation and giving a holistic picture about the agriculture and the laws, how they are going to make an impact. And thinking about this, the future looks very scary. There are so many articles we read and see and hear. What we are going to give to our children or our grandchildren, looks like we have nothing to give, nothing to leave for them. So the picture is so gloomy, and the time has to tell us. I think the time will tell us, how the India is going to transform itself. And I would like to also thank all the participants, our senior comrade Thangappan, Dr. Magindra Raju, Mrs. Anita Reddy, and Dr. Ruth Manorama, and many of the senior comrades, Sujit, who have participated in this webinar. Yeah, I also would like to thank Mrs. Karuna David, was part of United Nations organizations, was there from the beginning. So I thank all our comrades and participants, friends who have participated. And once again, thank Dr. Prakash, Dr. Narasimha Reddy, and Ram Kumar for their excellent interventions and the participants. Thank you very much. We just conclude this webinar, and we'll meet again. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks a lot, and thanks for the